at the MGM Music Hall in Boston. I'm not going to waste a second here. Are we ready for our first matchup? Let's bring out our teams. The underdogs ready to back for Brazil. It is Razah Company Academy! You wanted an underdog story, you got one. One of the first teams to bomb out of the Manchester Major are here on an SI main stage. Their opponents turned what was a nightmare situation into a dream. It's Unwanted! Despite what their name suggests, as you can tell, they are very much wanted on this stage. One of the two remaining NA teams here looking to shock the world in front of what is a tremendous amount of home support. Hot and cold, Perez, when you can, come and join me. All right, quick few words before we get into the server here. You guys are regarded here as the underdogs. Why will it not be you, Perez, and your team, the underdog team that drops out here and now?
We have the Brazilian blood. That's all.
Can you handle the Brazilian blood?
We beat only Brazilians in Manchester, so we're going to do it again.
Just briefly, Perez, are you intimidated at all by this crowd?
No.
Are you very happy with this crowd?
It's the best crowd. Let's go, baby!
Best of luck, please shake hands and go and take your seats. Let's get stuck into this very first matchup here at the MGM Music Hall in Boston. The atmosphere is already electric, but I'm going to ask again, Boston, are we ready? Let's get into this one, casting the very first matchup here are my good friends, Des and Tim.
Thank you very much, Ian. It's one of those days, Tim. There's a little bit of electricity in the air. It's a true underdog game to kick things off. Could you ask for more?
Both of these stories coming together at the same time, it kind of feels like it's destiny almost, isn't it? First match on the main stage, and it's both of the underdog teams playing each other, the ones that maybe people didn't expect to get here, but I tell you what, they've earned their place.
More than earned it at this point. Both of them have battled their way through. No one I spoke to had them in their final six, but that is where they stand. For one of them, it's got to end here today, Tim. For the other, they press on, and they've got some big names to face off against over tomorrow and potentially into that grand final.
Yeah, and Razah Company Academy have certainly got some work to do to turn over this crowd today. Heavily favouring Unwanted, heavily favouring, and very loud already even for a Friday morning.
Absolutely, and this is what I love about it as well. The energy in the atmosphere for the team itself, but also being that underdog on the side of Razah Company Academy. You heard the analyst speaking about this map beta we've seen come out. I think Unwanted have steamrolled their way through this. They knew exactly what Razah were going to ban away, and they've picked into their weaknesses. They were speaking about labs and how Unwanted have been very strategic in who they pick it against. And for Razah, well, they're 0-3 on it, Tim. They have not had a good tournament because teams know they're always going to ban away Cafe and Clubhouse. They know they can pick away labs and absolutely slam Razah there. 3 teams have done it before. Why can't Unwanted here on map 1?
My other concern for Razah Company Academy is that 2-0 loss that they had to Furia. Going up against one of their domestic rivals in another Brazilian team, it feels like Furia, they beat them the last 2 times they played them domestically. They came out and beat them 2-0 quite easily, and it feels like maybe they've just given away that blueprint to other teams of how you take apart Razah Company Academy. They're a great team. They've got some super players on there, but you know that a coach like Mint, he is going to have been pouring over the tape from that Furia game.
100%. It feels on paper like Unwanted should walk away with this in a 2-0, but that is why you should not be expecting a 2-0. When things look obvious, very rarely are they. We've seen that throughout the group stage. You and I, Cas PSG Talon versus BDS. That was a hell of a game that no one had on their bingo card as being one that will go to 3 maps, let alone go the way of PSG Talon. We have seen upset after upset. And I have a feeling here, Tim, there's something cooking. It's going to be a really tight series, and I can't wait to see what happens when we get into it. That reminder, in case you can't see at the bottom of your screen, Lair will be that second map, which we'll talk about later, and Consulate, if required, will be that decider between these two teams.
Like you say, Unwanted certainly going to be lining up for a 2-0. I think they want to get it done. Consulate's one of those maps I always pick out. Consulate and Bank that I always expect Brazilian teams to be good on historically, and it just holds true tournament after tournament. So, yeah, for me, for the North American side, if they get to map 3, it could get a little tense.
Yeah, Consulate's the one that I've currently got a question mark over, but those first two, Lair is a great example. Unwanted, they picked it away very strategically throughout the event and only played it when they felt that they had a read on the opponent. For Razah, they haven't banned it away once. So coming into this series, Unwanted 100% knew that Lair was going to get picked up at some point during this series, either as Razah Company Academy's pick or as that decider later on. I thought it might be the decider, but it coming in second actually accelerates that timeline for Unwanted, and I imagine they'll feel very, very comfortable. But speaking about Razah Company Academy, we cast them a lot last year, back when they were E1, Stage 1 over in Brazil. They were no slouches, Tim. They were taking down some big names, and when they're on it, they are terrifying to watch.
They really are. The problem that they've got at the minute, Des, is it feels like they're playing, it's like this kind of two teams. You got Live and Perez, who are absolutely flying at the minute, and then everybody else has been a little bit quiet. Looking at Basetto, looking at STK, looking at Flash Trade, they just need that little bit more from them. And if you look at the side of Unwanted, they don't have a huge amount more. If you look at the ratings for individual players, they're just ever so slightly higher across the board, a slightly more rounded team performance coming out of Unwanted. And I look at that, and we often talk about these fine margins, the 5, the 10% that you need to find to get those wins, and it feels like at the minute at least, Unwanted have already got that.
Well, here we go. First map about to get underway here. Unsurprisingly, the majority of you at home are backing Unwanted. I guarantee that percentage is far higher here in the arena in Boston, Tim. It feels like it should be their map. However, upsets can happen. Is this the time where they break out that 0-3 curse and get a win, or do Unwanted carry on with their own streak?
There's certainly questions to be asked. The answers will start to be given here on Nighthaven Labs, where we get our first live game underway between Unwanted and Razah Company Academy.
Woo, I love the music this event. Every time I hear it, I'm just like, ooh, we'll get a little jig on. It's amazing.
It's been great.
Well, here we go with our bands to kick things off. Again, I'll remind you, as we've had throughout the groups, when a team starts on the blue side on defense, and the bands are flipped. So this first band you're seeing is a Razah Company Academy band. If this isn't Blitz, Tim, I don't know what to say. They may as well just give the map up here and now. Spirits, many regard him as one of the best Blitz players in the world. It's been banned away against him repeatedly, and sure enough, the Blitz will go away against him here.
The thing is, it doesn't necessarily solve you a problem, because we've seen consistently through the tournament, when Spirits isn't playing Blitz,
he's on Blackbeard.
He's playing Blackbeard or Monte. He will bring another shield along, and that's something that Razah Company Academy are definitely going to have a plan for, because if they don't, Spirits is the sort of player that will punish them round after round.
I love how they've gone for a target ban here against Live with the Buck as well. It's one of his most played operators on this map, no least as well. He's played it more than twice any other operator, so they want to see it taken away. Subaru, similar story. It was banned against them last time they played this map. And the Mirror, I think not a lot needs to be said about Mirror. We know that she's a really powerful defender on this map. See her played up around Catwalk as a wonderful example down in the basement. We've seen teams use her on the main breach wall, inside the single wall, a little bit further back to oversee that site itself. Just a very, very versatile operator for this map in particular. So I'm not surprised to see the bans that we have. We're going to start things off, Tim, up on that top floor. And this is where things start to shake down now. This is where it counts. All those games you've played over the last week and a half, they mean toffee if you can't get the job done here and now. It's Razah Company Academy starting on the defense, and Unwanted are going to show us their teeth on the attack.
I always say that top floor is a tough one to start off with for a defensive team on Labs, because it doesn't give you much flexibility to use the map to your advantage. You don't get too much opportunity to roam. They've got the pulse in STK. We'll keep an eye on exactly where that operator is being played. Is that going to be with an intention of maybe using that map a little bit, getting underneath? The fact that this frost mat's going out down there suggests that maybe they are trying to create a little bit of safe space underneath for STK to be able to just work around there with that nitro, maybe have a little bit of an impact. If they're moving in towards connector, towards meeting corridor Unwanted, for example, that could be a real danger. There's a lot of soft floor around there.
There is. I mean, you can see that bookban that came away earlier, and you'll see no doubt that being a bit of an impact on Razah Company when we get round to their attacks. For now, eyes to me fall towards Hot and Cold and the Maverick as well. This actually has been banned away against them in a previous time playing on this map. So without shaping up, it's going to definitely come into play. You'll see things like the Blitz being, the Bandit being a thing, but it will be dealt with by that. STK is under a lot of fire here. Atom not quite finding his man, and Atom, it's worth speaking about him, has been a phenomenal Deimos throughout this tournament.
Yeah, he's been absolutely deadly on that operator, and although he's taken a lot of damage there, he's done some important work. I spoke about STK immediately. Where's that pulse going to be? They can't let him have that freedom, and they haven't. He's been forced back to site now. We can see he's up there on that top floor. So, Unwanted have now got themselves the opportunity. They've got the map open. Everybody's back up in sight, and they can start working through. They can use the verticals underneath if they want to. They could maybe get Atom in underneath with those tracks and just make it difficult now for Razah to play in their previous positions. But just looking, STK, he's wriggled his way back down underneath the site.
This is quite unique as well. Unwanted have got every single player pressed up towards this meeting side of the top floor. The C4 coming out, not going to find his man. You've really got to place that one perfectly to find someone. In fact, I think we saw Shaikor was getting caught out by a C4 from that spot just the other day. It was a bit too deep at the bottom of the stairs to be caught out by. A similar story here. It's a good caution being shown. We are half the way through this round, though. We've got to start seeing the kills coming on through. And STK, not being finished off earlier, comes back and gets revenge on Atom.
Yeah, that's the big problem. They had to deal with that because now you've got a pulse underneath with Nitro still in hand. And Unwanted, what do? Do they commit an extra man to go down there? Maybe an extra two? STK doing some serious damage. I said that Razah needed to be getting a bit more out of Bassetto, a bit more out of STK, and he has certainly delivered on the pulse in round one.
Must have an idea on where his man is as well. These two coming into a 1v1, but both looking slightly the wrong way. Going to charge his way through, and the headshot comes in. STK having a wonderful first round, Tim. 3 kills on the pulse, completely dismantling this attack from Unwanted. And then they're trying to pick up scraps at this point. Gaveni onto another. Worth reminding you, Tim, last time they played this map, Gaveni, in the first 4 attacks, got 4 multi-kills in a row. If anyone can save this round for them, it's going to be him.
I've got to be honest, I'll be amazed if Unwanted come away with this. None of the work has been done towards site. They're playing in towards toxic babes. Walls haven't been opened. The players are separated. They're trying to work their way back together. You've got one on warehouse. You've got one inside a connector. Razah take them both down. That's going to be an opening round for the Brazilians.
Very solid first round, and admittedly, there's one player you can talk about in that round. It was STK below. Absolute truckload down there, just dishing damage out with the pulse. Of course, in that first fight he got into with Adam, we're having a very different conversation here if he wins the fight against Atom, but instead walks away, low HP, comes back, finds 3 kills. More than enough to see his team over the line. And for Unwanted, like I mentioned, it was a bit strange that we saw all 5 of them focusing on the same part of the map. Great outfit, mate, I love it. Very focused there towards the meeting side of things, and they didn't really manage to make any headwinds from there. They were too busy trying to chase STK down. They couldn't punish him as a team, and he just came back and punished them. And I think the big question you might ask, Spirits has got that shield. Really, him and Deimos should be the ones in the front line trying to take him down, but instead you've had 3 players chase him by himself and get punished for it.
Yeah, they've given STK every opportunity to do the damage that he did there. And that's something that Unwanted need to learn from quickly. Coming in here, Des, you said quite rightly, Unwanted have picked labs up. They know that it's a map that's maybe not favoured by Razah. They're going to be wanting to get a big win here to kick things off. And so far, that was a very, very solid start from Razah.
Won't be the start of the day, Tim, without a rehost early on. We'll get that one sorted and then back into things. Of course, a big technical setup here on this stage as well. Lots of things, lots of moving parts, things to worry about on this side, but we'll be into it very, very soon again. So just bear with us for a couple of minutes on this one. Like I mentioned, that first round, I wouldn't want to say write it off. It was a great start for Razah Company Academy, but it did rely on one player doing an awful lot. These hero plays that we speak about, right? I think we need a few more rounds to see it build into things and see how the teams are really cooking today.
I think the difficulty with that is you look at it, and we never really got to see Unwanted beyond STK. No. So it was like, yes, it was a bit of a hero play, but nothing else was really needed for Razah Company. They never got past that step, and that was a big problem. That's the sort of coordination that you're looking at, particularly early on. How is the team looking today? Are they feeling comfortable? And looking at that, you got to say, well, maybe not, because like you say, they had the utility, they had the operators that they needed to deal with that situation. They just haven't really utilized it.
No, there's still plenty of time to be figured out. Like I say, you can't rely on too much when you see a 3K in round 1. So we'll give it time to breathe when we come back into the second. Got most of our players back in the lobby, so we're back into things in just a moment. As mentioned, these things happen sometimes. It's going to take us a minute or so, and we'll be back in. It kind of feels weird, to be fair. I've had a couple of days off here, of course, at SI as well, a couple of break days, and now we're back in it. Everything feels super real when you walk into the venue in the morning and you see a stage like this and everyone getting ready for the games, and it's like, whoa, it just got real.
I mean, everybody always loves the orchestra on stage. It really does signify
it sends chills up your spine.
It really does. It never gets old. Every time I see it, and you know, a little bit. I never sit in our sort of green room or area. I always want to come out. I want to see it in person, and it really does just get you revved up and ready for a day of phenomenal siege. You've got the crowd filtering in as well, and sort of just that excitement building. It's a wonderful thing, and Boston has been a fantastic host city for it so far. I'm sure we've got another great couple of days coming up.
100%. Of course, a great couple of games coming up today as well, in case you're wondering what comes next. FaZe versus SSG being our next matchup, and then we've got BDS versus Fury that many are coining a potential grand final. That is an upper bracket game. Whoever loses it still gets a second chance. So they can still fight their way back, Tim. But we're back in game. Here we go with round 2. This time, we're down into the basement, Tim. And I can't imagine we're going to see Unwanted letting STK get away with daylight murder this time around.
No, I wouldn't have expected so.
You'd hope not.
You'd really hope not. They need to learn the lesson after round 1. What you look at now is, say, what's Razah's next plan? What's the next gambit? What's the next play? How are they going to do it this round? How are they going to get it over the line? I said about round 1 that you don't get to play with the map too much. They actually managed to do that. This one, in the basement, they've got so much more opportunity to do that. They can get out, they can roam above, they can make life a bit of a nightmare for Unwanted here, really make it a nuisance and just cause them a lot of problems that they need to solve. They've got live on the Oryx, so that straight away tells me that Razah Company are going to commit to that full map.
With the reinforcements inside a connector as well, so you're going to see 1, maybe 2 players up here on this top floor causing trouble. There's STK, who was up there a little bit earlier on. Live, as you've mentioned, is dancing around. That hatch being reinforced off, by the way. You see it come through quite often. It makes that rotate around vending machines and in towards kitchen. That a little bit safer to play if you want to make use of it. Stop someone sitting on the hatch and watching you as you try and move around. So does give more options to those roamers across the map to move through it a little bit more efficiently without as much worry about where the attack is coming from. For Unwanted, a big focus start around here in the warehouse as well. Going to start their push through on the southwest side of this ground floor. Of course, remembering we've got to go downstairs. That's the main focus point to think about, but there's going to be these players on the top floor that need to be removed, because otherwise you're trying to play vertical while they're playing vertical against you, and it's not a pretty outcome for the attackers.
We're going to see that first call coming in, so this is going to be all about trying to find those roamers, trying to track them down, trying to make life a nightmare. It's going to be Perez taken out by Hot and Cold for the entry. Live manages to find one in response onto Atom. That's a big one. The Dokkaebi's gone, so that second call and potential control of the cameras, that's all lost.
I know that there's a couple of players holding around this floor that they've got to deal with, is the problem, Tim, and we're already halfway into the round. Unwanted, starting things out quite slow. Yes, it's a really big map, but I dare say a little bit of stage nerves as well. They look a little bit, overcautious, and I think it's going to punish them the longer these rounds run on.
They maybe just need to be a little cautious here to Razah as well. They've only got 1 on site at the minute. Bassetto's down there with the Kaid. Otherwise, everybody, they're kind of in touching distance, particularly Flashtree's on those stairs that we so often see teams playing, but there's an opportunity here potentially for Unwanted to just go direct to site and take a bit of space.
There is, if they recognise that, then maybe so. There's now a second player down there. I believe it's the Oryx who's fell back. In fact, no, it's Flashtry on the Frost that's now back with him. Still 2 players causing a bit of bother. You've still got Legion up on the top floor too. You can see SDK at the top of your screen. The problem is, Tim, they've got so little control of the map here. They've got warehouse, they've got cargo hall, they've got storage. That's really what they've got to work with. This could be really painful if they can't make this execute work.
Yeah, Unwanted are just stalling out a little bit here. It feels they're starting to get that vertical work done, but there's 30 seconds left to go. Flashtry manages to pick up one. The trade is there, but with a player up on the top floor, Unwanted have got some real work to do now. It's STK again doing the damage. Manages manages to get a double. That's 5 in 2 rounds. He is going big for Razah.
Oh, this is looking a bit too easy, but Dream is in and found one. Problem is, Tim, no diffuser, 10 seconds, 2 players to go. It's all too easy for Razah Company Academy. Really are giving Unwanted the runaround so far on Labs.
You'd always expect the defenders to have somewhat of an advantage on those first 2 sites. We go into what is a really important round for Unwanted now. They've got themselves out here on the stage in front of a home crowd. There's been a lot of noise made for them. They need to start putting some numbers on the board. It won't take them long to build that confidence once they do that, because I'm absolutely certain this crowd is going to be very receptive to any rounds that Unwanted win. The third choice coming in for Razah Company Academy, this is your opportunity, it's storage. I don't want to see Unwanted overcomplicate this. Get IT wall open, get basement wall open, and get a plant down behind the pillar. Don't overcomplicate it.
They've tried to keep that round really simple is the thing though, Tim, and I fully expect we're going to see Razah Company Academy up on that top floor once again. It works so well. STK being a nuisance up there, dropping down to the first floor. They're not really being pressured is the main problem, and I think without that blitz on side is where we're seeing them fall behind a little bit here. They declared themselves the best shield team in the world. I think we've got to see more shield play coming out, and in this round, that's exactly what we're going to get. It's not just a Blackbeard this time, Tim. It's a Monty coming along as well.
I think exactly the sort of setup that we were maybe expecting to come out of Unwanted here. Just really start piling the pressure on now. Make sure that they get in this round. They want themselves at least a couple out of this first half. I think a 2-4 split is an absolute minimum on the attack. Unwanted, to be fair, given that it's their map pick, likely looking for 3.
I really want to see them get control of IT here. You know, you've got the Gaveni on side as well on the Thatcher to help out with this. I feel that there we go. They don't get this opened up, and I'm a little bit concerned for them because, again, there are players playing on the upstairs. It needs to be removed away. Atom on the ace in this round, you might look at that and think, what the hell? We've got one of their entrants playing on a support. Very common thing we've seen over the last year. You know, players like Doki on G2 have done it an awful lot as well. You'll see them running around, making use of the Selmas, and then you are basically a pretty decent gun that can go and be just that, a gun. You've played your part with the utility once you've dropped those Selmas in early in the round.
Paseto's taken a lot of damage to kick things off here, and given that he's trying to hold on to that catwalk, trying to support Flastry, he could certainly be. He's just dropped back to storage, actually, which might just give him a little bit of freedom, but as Hot and Cold gets aggressive up onto the catwalk, Atom's going to join from the other side, and Flastry's in a dangerous position here. Spirits manages to take down Perez. Flastry has no option but to run away, and Unwanted, they're starting to build a little bit of momentum.
Much better. 3-4 players involved in this push, and they are punishing Razah Company Academy. It doesn't matter what they do. Live gets one back onto Gaveni, but the damage is done, Tim. He's found 2 in the round. Hot and Cold with a goo mine in his foot will go down here, but that's what I'm talking about. More trade play. Spirits capitalizing off his teammates' aggression, and now Live is all alone.
Get that diffuser down. That's your next key. Live is trying to get anything going that he can. Where's the support? It's Atom. He's up above, and he manages to close it out. And just as I expected, Des, this Boston audience did not disappoint. Every single kill that went down for Unwanted, the place erupted. They are desperate to have an opportunity to cheer for these NA teams.
I mean, cheering for an NA team is one thing, Tim, but underdogs as well. Everyone looks and thinks, look, most of this roster, they won a major last year. Everyone knows what they're capable of, yet here they stand August, putting up a performance, jumping over teams that many would have expected to see in our top 6 that simply aren't here because these guys have bested them. Really rising to the occasion. It was a much better round. But I'll come back to what you said at the start of it, Tim. It was that offside. What was really promising about it was it didn't really matter where the side was. It was the team play that made it for me. They're pushing towards catwalk, forcing players back, forcing out these 2v1s repeatedly. That's what you want to see more of. So hopefully they've warmed themselves into things, and now it turns to Razah Company Academy to find a response.
Got some very big NA fans sat down at the front of things there. I think they're going to have to look after their voice as much as I am.
Yes,
this
don't
one.
worry, we can see you from up here. We're keeping a very close eye. It's always nice to have some very passionate fans out.
Of course,
that's what live events are all about. It only gets better throughout the weekend as well. Here we go, though, round 3. Unwanted has said they've started cooking something now, Tim. They've done real good work with 2 shields. What are they doing this round? They're playing 0 shields, stepping away from it entirely, and it's Spirits' turn. A very rare turn, I might admit, Tim, to get off a shield and get onto the Deimos. Be that aggressive entry for his team.
Entry, it's interesting that you mentioned that, and I know it's something that Laxin picked up on as well, the opening kills particularly, getting those entries. It's not something that either team have excelled at so far. Coming into the game today, Unwanted at -10, Razah at -9 overall. Other teams have been able to take advantage of that. So what it means is that it creates an opportunity for both of these teams to find themselves that extra little bit, that extra margin. Start getting those entry kills, start getting yourself the advantage. It's not something you've experienced in your previous games. So we'll keep a close eye on that as well and see exactly which team is coming out on top.
Got a couple of players running around below here, namely Hot and Cold and Spirits. The Capital being brought along here to help take control of Catwalk. I don't think they need it too much because it's only really Flashtree out here playing by himself. I can't imagine he'll hold on to it too long either. Of course, Keeper Barrier is an absolute nightmare to deal with up here, but once he feels the heat start cooking, he will be out of there. Keep an eye on Spirits, though. Him playing down below could be that X factor. Of course, he's got the tracks. There's a lot of soft flooring on this top side. They can do a lot of work, but look at that. A straight walk up Cargo Hall. They lose one, but Spirits is there for the trades.
SCK still manages to do some damage before he is taken out. Perez joins the party, taking Gaveni out as well, and that's a lot of utility loss. Your Thatcher and your Capitao down, that is going to be a real tip of the spear that has been lost for Unwanted, particularly that Capitao. 3 versus 4, and it's essential that Unwanted pick up the next kill.
They're really tough back here, though. Like, Razah Company basically all moved towards the north of these two sides and said, look, you want control of IT? It's yours. You want Catwalk? It's yours. We don't mind. They want to challenge them when they actually start trying to walk up towards the site here. These very small bottlenecks, for example, IT door, very small location to walk inside, you'll be exposed to 2 angles. Trying to get you away in towards A site, a similar story. Very, very small angle. Almost finding in from below. This is what I like from Unwanted, though. Identify, look, we've got more bottlenecks here, boys. We need to do something. Let's go and find a kill from below. But Spirits has got to make something happen soon. Great kill from Dream as well, removing an angle from deep in IT so as not to expose himself.
Yeah, just provides that little bit of aggression that Unwanted maybe need to get them moving at him. He's kind of locked on Catwalk at the minute, and again with 30 seconds, I use that term stalling out. It's something Unwanted need to make sure they don't do, and they're not doing this time. As Atom manages to find another, the pressure mounts. 2v2, the Spirits manages to find live. 1v2 now. Razah trying to hold on. It's all up to Pasetto. 1 toxic babe remaining. Can he make it? No! Atom goes in, gets a kill, and Unwanted find a second round.
Very much fallen into things now, Tim, and the crucial thing that was missing in those first 2 was playing as a team. Really starting to cook in that regard. It's looking a lot better. When someone goes down, there's normally someone else there to pick up a trade. The key thing, though, is their play around Catwalk and IT, taking those challenges, forcing out a 1v1 from playing deep inside the rooms without stepping up to the doorway and exposing themselves to more than one angle at a time. And maybe in that case, you look towards Razah Company Academy and say, boys, you've got set up here perfectly for these 2v1s. These crossfires are ready on the bottlenecks, but you're peaking, you're getting aggressive, and you're giving 2 kills away for free to Unwanted. Got to see a little bit more discipline than that if you don't want to give things away, especially when you've got an Azami on side. She gives you so many wonderful angles that you can play around as a team, but they've got a little bit aggressive there. Maybe a little bit jittery here as they feel the momentum start to swing the other way. And Unwanted really are battling their way back into it. Now going to the basement, we've got 2 shields coming along once again.
I think on the attack, it's the right play for Unwanted. Using those shields, as we've said, we've seen great play from them so far through the tournament, and I feel like it's something they can use to really start bullying Razah now, really muscle another couple of rounds. Like I said, a 3-3 for me, Unwanted on the attack is a minimum. A 4-2 would be absolutely perfect. At that point, I'd say the map is almost over. I'd be very surprised to see Razah on the attack come back from 4-2 down, but there is still a lot of siege to play before we get to that point. Looking across the attacking lineup this time, we've got the Dokkaebi brought along again. Lost quite early last time. They had a single call out of the Dokkaebi, but didn't manage to capture cams, didn't manage to stick around for that second call, so need to get a little bit more value out of that operator this time.
I think they always expected to go into a different site at first when they had the 2 shields being hovered. I thought we'd see control and storage again, but why would we? Of course, that basement's where they've already won before. Razah back to where they've previously found success. I speak about this Dokkaebi and Deimos combo a lot, Tim, as well. I love seeing it as a pairing because the Deimos' weakness, of course, being they only tracks 1 person. What does Dokkaebi do? She calls every single player on the other team. All 5 players, their phones start ringing, making a hell of a lot of noise. So if someone's trying to bait the Deimos track player, well, that's really hard to do when you can hear exactly where they are. And sure enough, Spirits is aware of the player inside of IT, doesn't want to push this pillar player.
STK continuing to do a great job through this game. Perez teaming up with him there as well and managing to find that opening kill onto Spirits. The track had been used to find STK, but hadn't been able to successfully create aggression onto his position. And with Perez in tow, they've been able to take advantage of that perfectly. Big loss for Unwanted there. You're trying to push through and clear an entire map. Everybody that you lose is a huge amount of manpower when you're trying to do that much work.
So far we've seen Unwanted play really tight and grouped as a team, whereas I look back to Razah Company Academy, I think about early last year, Tim, when we saw them playing on Lair, all 5 players are pushing different parts of the map at the same time. And I think this lack of a backstab player is costing them in some of these engagements. If you had a player coming in from Aqua side then, it gives something else for Razah Company to think about. The pressure starts building up. They can't watch Electric Door and pick you off as you step up to challenge it. So I would like to see them being a little bit more spread out right now. You have got Dream watching Cargo stairs and a bit of a flank watch, and Atom's now starting to threaten the site itself. They've done well, but Razah have still got 2 or 3 players up above.
STK is going to take a bunch of damage there as these two keep on clashing, but so is Gaveni. And again, you look at that clock up at the top of your screen, those seconds are ticking by, and the kills keep raining in for Razah Company Academy, but Atom manages to find an advantage. 3 versus 2, and Unwanted are starting to take over the site. It's all up to STK. He's already shown us heroics, but will show us no more as Dream cuts him down. Mint is firing the team up as Unwanted. They managed to push themselves ahead for the first time.
Naturally, a lot of love for Dream, and why wouldn't you? And what I love about that round for Dream, and of course all the players played a big part in it, but for Dream, he probably spent 2 minutes sat. He spent 2 minutes sat on the cargo window, and I was like, this is a thankless task when you're flank watch, hoping someone crosses you, and often they don't. But for him to then come down cargo stairs at the very end of the round, secure that closing kill, is sometimes all you can ask of someone. Definitely warmed into this game, Tim. I'm kind of surprised that Razah Company Academy haven't called in this tap timeout a little bit sooner. At this point, you're looking to go 4-2 down, which is a reminder, is how the same half went for Unwanted when they faced off against OXG. They had a 4-2 attack in half, they looked prolific, and only dropped a single defense against OXG to close out that map 7-3. I'd start feeling very nervous about the Brazilians right now, Tim, but as we said, coming into the map, it's one of those but you knew it was going to get picked against you. It's where they've been battered 3 times so far this tournament, and history is repeating itself.
Yeah, they just don't really have an answer to the problem that is Night Haven Labs for them at the minute. Like I said, for me, you get a 4-2 half for Unwanted on the attack here. You know they are going to lock it down on the defense. They're going to make it so difficult for Razah Company to fight their way back into it that this is really an essential round for Razah Company to be getting a win on, level things up. I still would at 3-3 fancy Unwanted to take it in the second half, but if you make it 4-2, it's going to be extremely difficult. So, final attacking round for Unwanted. Not making things easy. They've got the Capita, they've got the Blackbeard. Razah Company are going to feel a lot of pressure in this round.
I assume at this point, to be honest, Razah won't play the same sort of style. I'd be shocked if Flashy then plays super aggressive again onto Catwalk. It has been a repeated part of this half where he's played in that position, and we've seen a lot of pressure start to build up round by round from Unwanted in that area. They were shut out the first time round, brought 2 shields, then started playing the Capitao. It's really hard for Flashy to have too much impact there. So I think you're going to see him play a little bit more dug back at some point, or at least drop away from Catwalk far quicker than we've seen previously.
IT Wall going to be getting opened up almost immediately just inside that first minute, so great progress straight away from Unwanted. Like you say, particularly Flashtry's position is going to be important here. Unwanted have dealt with it really well previously. If they can do that again, it really creates that space for them to start pushing on into site. Not too much attention on to Connector at the minute. Dream is going to start just having a look over there, being supported by Hot and Cold as well, so they definitely want in this multi-angle approach.
For me, I'm keeping a real close eye on STK. He's the one on the vigil here running around, trying to cause a bit of bother. After that 3K that we saw back in round 1, Tim, sure, he's picked up 4 extra kills as we've gone by because we had that rehost earlier on, but haven't seen the big X factor that he had back then. And I think a lot of that is an Unwanted, not giving him 1v1 after 1v1 after 1v1. They are playing much better as a team here, and Spirits starting to sniff after him here. Look at that, Tim. Every player falling back on towards site, except for Flashtry, who's still dug out there on Catwalk right now. But I can't imagine his time is much longer for this world, as there is Gaveni, there is Spirits starting to build up on that side of the map. The rest of them, as before, are pushing in from that northeast side, Tim. I always worry that there's no backstab here, and it's what's going to bite them the longer this runs on.
Yeah, this is it. As soon as Razah Company recognise that all 5 players are out to that same side, even if they're split between Connector and IT, it means that they can just start focusing up in that one direction. They can start dumping utility out like that Nitro over the top, takes down Hot and Cold, and they don't need to worry about that flank. They don't need to worry about that rear side. It's all going to be guns up. Spirits has, though, managed to take that catwalk position. So, with 25 seconds left to go, this one hangs in the balance.
STK's found himself another. It's Dream falling by the wayside. Gaveni into another. This push here is so crucial. Gaveni into a second, playing behind the shield of Spirits. But Tim, it's a 2v3 with 10 seconds to go. They've got to net some kills. One more goes their way. They've also got to recover the diffuser. Sees the shadow on the ground, knows that he's close. We're going to have to see amazing cover, but no! Gaveni has fallen. Well, 5 won't have a chance to get the last. Almost got there. But hiding away, thanks to that help of the clock, Tim, sees Razah Company Academy give us a 3-3 half.
Basetto played that really smart on the smoke there. We were all getting excited as we saw these kills raining in, but the clock was ticking down, and then you notice it. Then you see that diffuser down on the ground, and you see the smoke shadow over the top of it. With the shotgun out, you know it's going to be difficult for Unwanted to recover that. They couldn't get it done. It came down to the 1v1, but Razah Company Academy knew exactly what they needed to do, and that was just keep themselves out of trouble, keep themselves away from the fight, and get it locked down. Good round from the Brazilian side.
Good stuff, Tim. We get a 3-3 split, which to me is never a bad thing. It shows the game's been competitive. One of my favourite lines I always reel out on a cast, though, is there are 2 halves to a game of Siege. We saw Unwanted warm up through that half. I feel like Razah haven't really dropped off. They've just been countered. They've been adapted to by Unwanted and dropped rounds as a result. I thought Razah actually played the half really well. They're positioning their aggression around the map, being willing to roam aggressively and challenge Unwanted at every turn. Really good stuff. It didn't always pay off for them. Now we get to see what they can do on the attack. They are really going to have to shine here and do something special, though, because Unwanted are no slouches on the defense of Nighthaven Labs.
As I said in that first half, I feel like if you back to the wall, I think 3-3 is enough for Unwanted. I expect them. I'd be surprised for them to not come out and lock out at least the top and bottom floors here. Top floor, which is where they're going to start, followed by basement, most likely. It is their map. They know what they're doing here. They've shown us that, and Razah Company have struggled a couple of times on here. So, Unwanted, this one feels like it is within your grasp. Top floor does kick us off, and they've got everybody in and around site. Nobody working underneath.
Kind of worried that they're going to find Perez relatively impeded playing on this Flores. The Terror is, of course, incredibly powerful, and there's a lot of gadgetry to destroy away, which there's barbed wires to get rid of. There's the 2 bulletproofs available as well. Of course, you can play that dance with the EMPs to keep them from getting in towards you. I'm just a little bit nervous they won't really be able to find the maximum effects, because still leaning in towards things like the Dockerbee and the Daemon. Spoke about that a hell of a lot, and I like at least we're seeing the respect being shown, bringing along the Maverick to deal with the electrification and the mute jammers.
Just looking for an opportunity here. Dream, Nitro will go out. Not going to throw it, just puts it back in pocket for the time being. That extra big hole being opened up might just give a nice opportunity to dump it out there and see what he can find, though.
You say that.
There you go. Dream.
What a dream start to the round. The Maverick taken offline. His work is done, though. IT has been opened up. That's okay for them. Connectors also opens. They've got the 2 walls open they needed, but Tim, they're going to be down a gun, and that's going to be the main stinger for them. That big hole that you see opened up, you know, teams usually use it on a rappel, get someone playing on it, and try and watch out for a C4 in that position. But we've seen teams quite a lot throughout this tournament use it as bait. You open it up, there's no one actually on the rappel. It's just there to scare you and stop you trying to make an aggressive play. But Dream holds his nerve, gets that entry. Great start.
SCK is going to be able to work his way up the backside here, and even though he's caught in that FNAT, manages to take down Gaveni. 4 versus 4 with a minute left to go, and live he keeps things rolling for Razah. This is not great for Unwanted. 3 versus 4 as one gets taken down with a nade.
As I said, we're not with the 3 players left here as well. The insta-track coming in, which means all that soft flooring below him, it's like lava, Tim, and Perez going to capitalise off the back of the trap with live putting in pressure from below. It's a 4v2 for Razah, attacking really well here.
They're working pretty much exclusively from Connector and Electrical, though, and that could be a big problem for them because they're going to find themselves funneled into the shotgun of Hot and Cold. He manages to hit one with a Nitro, will be flashed out, but he's there, ready for the challenge. That is a good idea from Razah. We see the Flores moving around to go through Electrical. They're looking for the pinch on Hot and Cold.
And they've also got Live coming up the backside as well. This is what Unwanted didn't really do, Tim. The spread out is good from them, but in that time, Unwanted have found one. And the 2 and 3. Spirits collecting 2 kills in the close. Great end to the round, just as we saw Razah Company Academy getting themselves set up. They strike, and Spirits was the real hero in the moment that sees them moving up to 4 and 3.
Huge 2v4 from the North American side there. Absolutely brilliant stuff. That was not an easy one to win out for Hot and Cold and Spirits, but I want to give Hot and Cold a big shout here as well. We know how much experience he's got, but we have seen some phenomenally smart players coming out of Hot and Cold over the last sort of week to 10 days of SI so far. I mean, immediately the one that jumps to mind was the Scorpos play very early in the tournament from him, which I believe was here on Avon Labs actually, was it? Or was it on Lair? No, I think it was on Lair. Where he got up above Team Liquid and was able to fight his way back in. But again, it was just smart play. He knew that the funnel was electrical door, so I'm just going to sit on here with my shotgun. He's hit them with the nitro already, but he's then communicating. He knows he's going to get flanked through IT, so Spirits moves around to cover. Just great play from them too.
Got to appreciate that giant gold sledge, by the way. Every time I see it, I'm just in awe.
It's just a little bit shorter than me.
Shut up, Tim. I did see Fresh posted a picture with it and was just like, oh, Fresh for scale. And I was like, it is absolutely massive. I know in the pictures that came out earlier on today, it didn't really seem that big at a distance, but it is absolutely huge. Like Unwanted have been so far in the game, 4 and 3 up. Oh, Spirits. Cheeky little shot coming through the soft wall, Nova's finding him out, but nope, just a little bit of damage to tickle him and remind him, yep, you're never quite safe here. Like the Basetto's jumping across onto the shields here. Of course, it's not just Unwanted that can play shield sim. We can see the same coming out of Razah Company Academy, and maybe it's not their #1 go-to strat. Instead preferring to be guns up a lot of the time, they can, of course, play it in here. Just trying to get a little bit of calm going and get themselves a good spearhead into the round. Thing is, though, when you're against a team that loves playing shield sim, they're also pretty damn good at dealing with them at the same time.
Look at the pressure that's being brought in, though. Spirits is trying to get something going. He's running around. He somehow manages to get away. Wow. Just sort of diving over the balustrade there just to get himself to safety. But he's on 1 HP at a push. And we've created so much space there from Basetto. And that really says to me, Unwanted maybe didn't have a plan for dealing with that Monty push.
Maybe not. It's more the pressure that came from that kitchen window and almost caught them as they got back. But I think being alive at this point is a real crucial thing for Spirits. C4, I think you can hear on the ceiling above him at this point, ready to rip when the time comes in. Still with 2 more to play behind. There we go. With him being alive, even on a slither of HP, Tim, he can still press that trigger. He can still find a kill.
He's maximised that value there, and I often talk about the utility, whether it be nades, whether it be nitros. It's a great opportunity for a risk-free kill, and Spirits manages exactly that. You'd have to back the Legion here of Gavetti to get his kill. The Ram has absolutely no idea, but Donkey knows that he's gone on to the draw. It's as easy as that. Flashtree taken down, and a quiet game for Flashtree continues. 5 versus 3, Unwanted.
Big one as well. STK died at about the 1:35-second mark. Oh, Atom, you little rat. We've got the flank going down. Is he? No, he'll go for free. Almost managed to get away with it as well, but Live has found him first. They don't manage to stick the plant though, Tim, and that's pretty crucial for Unwanted. They've still got the numbers advantage. It's a 2v4. They've got vertical control. One of the guns is a Monty. This is Dream territory. Live by try, but Dream is there for the trade. Unwanted, Tim, they're truly cooking here on Labs.
Yeah, they feel like they're really building that momentum now. The crowd's massively behind them. It just gets louder and louder every single round that they win. 5-3, they can smell this one. It's in touching distance.
Well, it looks fit Tim have a attack timeout coming in here, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy this one. Looks like we'll have some magic work coming out of them. Look at the boys immediately into the strat books down here for Unwanted as well. On the other side, I imagine it's more words of wisdom because they are really starting to fall apart here. Razah Company Academy struggling to get anything on the board.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of rounds for them, and the thing is, mentally, they've got to be asking questions of themselves at the minute now. They had a 4v2, they lost it out. They're not going to get better opportunities than that does. That's the reality. On Labs, those chances against this Unwanted team, they're going to be few and far between. You've got to make sure that you grab them.
Wait, do I play as Ami?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I don't know what walls. Can you tell me quick?
Here. If you want to change it up because you don't have mirror, up to you.
Can you start? You start a Gumine on the site hop, right?
So a little sneak peek there, what we're getting later on today, Tim.
Absolute treat is
I
that.
tell you what, we've enjoyed the mics there over the last week and a half.
They said to us
this morning, they were just like, just so you know, we can listen into timeouts now.
And I was like,
all right.
I was like, what? Like the microphones we've had? And they were like, no.
The TeamSpeak server.
The actual timeouts, the actual comms. Yeah, it's fantastic stuff.
So we'll be cooking that for the future ones as well. Look forward to it. Of course, a little snippet at the end there from Unwanted themselves. It seems, Tim, for me at least, they're in full control at this point.
Yeah.
Razah Company Academy have got to figure something out. Yes, we've only just had that in the second round of this half. Still quite early doors. There's still many more rounds that could be played here on Nighthaven Labs. But they are wilting in the face of Unwanted, who, as I've said, have really warmed into this. The first couple of rounds, they didn't really look up to it. Yes, they were pushing all together. They have the abilities to play as a team, but they weren't really playing trades. And the 3K that STK got in isolation was a great example of that. Since then, it has been trade after trade after trade. They are giving nothing away for free.
Let's get into round 9 then, and this is going to be a huge round for Razah Company Academy. Lose this one, and you almost certainly see Nighthaven Labs disappearing from you as well. It will leave Unwanted on that map point, but it will mean that they have to get 3 rounds back to back, meaning Unwanted will have an opportunity to finish this on any site that they should so choose. They're not going to have to rely on a third choice to get it done, which is where they are at the minute. Going to be down in storage. So as I've said previously, we would expect Razah to work on IT, which is what they're doing now. Maybe get a little bit of basement control, and then work towards that pillar plant.
There's that bait again to try and scare Dream away. That's a funny one to say. C4 coming out low, it's going to find Flash Tree.
Too easy.
Too easy. They were ready for the round to go through. The wall has been made soft, which is one thing. So they should be able to get in, Tim, but again, they are down a gun, and Flash Tree cannot catch a break. Not just really on this map, Tim, but the whole tournament, he has struggled to get big numbers up. But here, on the game that matters most, it's currently 1-8.
It's the second time now that Dream's been able to punish them on that wall as well, just waiting for it to go soft and then striking, just picking his moment because he knows and he can predict exactly where that Maverick's going to be. Nitro goes out over the top, doesn't catch anybody in electrical, but again, it's just all burning more time. 5 versus 4 and Unwanted. They have the pleasure, they have the privilege now, they have the space to be able to just hold these positions. They don't need to run away necessarily because they've got that man advantage.
Perez has managed to get up to electric door here as well, but here comes that potential backstab tip. The Dream! They've done with everything! Yeveni with a 2 has completely eviscerated this backstab coming out from Razah Company Academy. Basetto with it all to do. Might see the head of one. The recall, he misses his shots. All 5 players still up on Unwanted. And sadly, Tim, that tack timeout has done nothing to help them here. He'll stop the flawless, he'll find the second, but at this point, it feels like KD padding.
Hot and cold, able to pick up that final kill then, and that is going to be Unwanted moving on, not only to map point, but picking up that third choice site as well. That says to me, Unwanted can win on the defense wherever they like on Nighthaven Labs. So Razah, their work is cut out for them now.
Big time. There is a lot for them to recover here. You've had the tap timeout, you've had a chance to figure things out, and it has not gone according to plan. You've tried shields, you've tried Monty, you've tried the Blackbeard, you've tried no shields. Nothing is quite sticking. But as we said coming into this map, Tim, 3 times that we have seen Razah Company Academy be forced to play this map. Not once have they picked it, it's worth stressing, it's always been picked against them, because teams know they are going to ban away the cafe and the clubhouse, and they have punished them. And Unwanted, I think with their wide map pool, looked at this and just thought, guys, we'd be stupid not to take into a map that clearly they're not the best at. And they are proving once again that for Razah Company Academy, Labs is a bit of a miserable affair for them to step into. One more round, Tim, and they take this one 7-3, a comfortable first win. And then we go to Lair, that second map pick coming out from Razah Company Academy. And that's where things will get interesting.
Dream and Spirits are having a great game so far as well. I think both worth a shout. Dream particularly. I know Spirits is maybe slightly better off on the stats side of things, but Dream has just had some critical kills. A couple of times we've seen him take down the Maverick on the soft wall. A couple of times we've seen him just get a double in the middle of the round that's really swung it for Unwanted. And it's great to see a player like Dream so heavily supported today as well. Just having a great start to this opening match on the stage.
I really want to give a nod towards Gaveni as well. Like, although he's quietly going about his business, there's been multiple rounds where he's walked away with a 2K. Pushing it off the back of Spirits, as we saw on the shield earlier on. That last round, stopping the backstab. He's not putting up 3 or 4 kills around in a massive flurry of impressive kills, but the things that really make a difference, really increase the impact of the shields and also stop those flanks potentially ruining the round for your team. But this is the important thing, Tim. You can't really have a weak player when it comes to these live stages. Everyone has got to be on their day at all times.
And this is why I said I look at a matchup like this and I think...
How do you think Flashy feels stepping up to this wall for the third, fourth time?
I'd be terrified.
Knowing that Dream's going to swing him or a Nitro's going to hit him.
He doesn't want to go near it.
Run away! Please don't kill me this time.
I'm going to see him actually survive this time. But no, you're absolutely right. It's like, you look at this and I feel like this is the point of the tournament that those miracle runs are going to start coming to an end.
Well,
you might be lucky. You might be lucky for one of them to be able to push on and get a grand final here potentially, but we know that it can't be both. They've faced up against each other, but I also mean in terms of performance, it takes its toll. When you're the underdog, you're having to win maybe close 2-1 games every time. It gets tiresome, it gets exhausting.
Well, they've got that Brazilian blood sim. Will it be enough? It doesn't look like it will be on Labs. Atom starting things off. They've had a track down onto Hot and Cold and the shield already because they know that clash is going to impede them. They don't really have the tools to deal with it. What, a few frag grenades in back pocket? Cool, that's all they've really got to work with. It's going to hurt if they can't make this clash move away from key power positions. And right now, Hot and Cold is free to play wherever the hell he likes.
Going to see that pressure mounting from above from Dream as well. He's able to open things up with the Cage shotgun. TSG just get those lines of sight that he wants and just rain down a bit of support. There you go, he peeks around the corner, manages to get one. 4 versus 1, it looks almost certain. The Unwanted will close out the first map. Now Labs goes to the North American side.
As expected, Tim. A couple of early rounds, it looked a little bit shaky, but this was always going to be their playground. And sadly, Razah Company Academy have been evicted from it. They're down 1 map. 1 more to go, and they're sent home, and Unwanted will move on to that next round to play in our games tomorrow.
Available now. of course, the North American team has to take map number 1 in this series. Unwanted. Well, they make it happen. That's at least on our first one night Haven Labs that we have had, and possibly one of the best Shield players we've seen in this past year, really hitting the top at SI25.
You know, Fox said you can't get Shields away off of Unwanted. They're going to find a way to bring a Shield. There's not enough bans to stop them. But a big thing for me that I wanted to talk about that I originally briefly spoke upon of this match was going to come down to opening kills and being able to convert that. Where Razah would actually go up 4 kills on opening kills. They only could convert one of those rounds into a round win, where on the exact opposite end, Unwanted just would retain that and continue pushing through, winning that even in a man deficit.
Yeah, I mean, the map getting shut down constantly, Unwanted. Once they swapped, I mean, getting 3-3 attack half split is a very difficult task to do. Once they got on defense, the opening kills were all their way the whole time, constantly putting pressure on the IT walls, slowing down. They weren't giving the opening pick to Razah Company, and it just goes to show why they're the #1 team at opening kill conversion, and they're also so good at teams that are aggressive. Razah Company tries to constantly find these opening kills, and even when they do, they can't go anywhere with it because they just take so much time to slow down and focus on playing their game, objective-based siege.
3 rounds on the attacking side. It's a halfway between the two on the first half. Swapping and then Unwanted absolutely take off. Spirits and Gav were incredible in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, if you're starting out your main stage performance 12-4, especially out of Spirits, I mean, you got to feel really good with the EPS of 146. Now, I did highlight Flash Ray that he said this was a moment for him that he's going to take in, he's going to soak, that he's going to make the most out of this moment. I need him coming alive going into this next map. His team needs him. You cannot be putting up a 1 in 10 performance with a 20% cost.
I think it just really came down to the map because, like we talked about, it really came down to the shields for attack. We didn't really see too much out of Razah Company when it came to the shields, but we saw Spirits run the shield when it came to Blackbeard. Even if you ban Blitz, there's Blackbeard. We saw Hot and Cold on the Monty. There's so many options, and there's so many players on the team that can play it a different style of that shield. It's so difficult to stop them, and that's why going to a map where shields are so strong is just already starting off on the wrong foot.
But that's my issue right there, is that they're allowing that map to go through. We know they aren't strong in the map. They're 0-3 on it. You're going to bring a team where they can abuse shields, and it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. So I hope we can see a little something when we go into Lair.
This was a round that Unwanted had an amazing shield play. We're going to see it a little bit as they commence the onslaught of the site. They did lose the round, but the shield play was so beautiful, using Spirits as Blackbeard to be able to go in, bait the attention, and then behind him, Gavini's able to peek off of it to instantly trade a pick off. It was a really close round, a lot of back and forth, but that just goes to show how good of an aggressive shield player Spirits is. He's not always needing to get the kills. Sometimes he's just a distraction, constantly getting in your face, and he's so creative with this shield play.
And this is what truly allows them to shine here. Again, defensive players, knowing when to get aggressive, knowing when to have that sort of play style, to not just rely on something of a static play. And the shield truly define that, allowing Spirits to open that up, get a trade, continue pushing through the site. That's what we want to be seeing from Unwanted. Now, unfortunately, where they did end that round not in a win, it does just continue to show how well this team has been improving consistently.
The age of young gunner squads, those super teams, is over. It is all about the 5-time support players, and that's what we're getting. That was map number 1. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for breaking it all down. We still have potentially 2 more to go, but if anything, we'll go to a quick break. When we get back, map number 2.
Back it up, back it up. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Back it up, back it up. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Back to the back to the back to the back to the back. Take it back, take it back. Back it up, 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 back it up. Take it back, take it back. Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Back it up, back it up. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Back to the back to the back to the back to the back.
was a time when I was young. You got no time, better late than never. There was a time, but it's best to do something. You got no better late than never. Yeah, yeah.
And the Invitational continues. Welcome back, Boston. It is time. Map number 2, and it's a North American squad that is leading in the score. 1-0 up for Unwanted against the Brazilian Razah Company Academy. Gentlemen, we go back again here on stage. This time, what a beautiful place. So many beautiful faces. But we have a matchup on our hands. And next up, we go to Lair. Can Razah Company recover?
They definitely can. This is one of their favorite maps, as it is Unwanted as well. They are currently 1-1, where Unwanted is 2-0. But the thing is, Brazil, I think they do have a general good understanding of how Lair is played. So this has got to be a comfort pick for Razah Company to be ending up here. But the issue is, if we aren't seeing those opening conversions go in their favor, it is going to be the exact same result. Because unfortunately, you can't ban every single shield. You have to work around it. You have to be bringing the Legion. You have to be bringing something to thwart off those attacks, because that is where they are struggling the most.
Now, when it comes to Razah Company playing on Lair, they don't really abuse the vertical play as much as the North American teams when it comes to Lair. So obviously, I feel like Unwanted unnaturally just has the edge when it comes to the vertical play. So I'm expecting Razah Company to be using the shields as much as they can. And it's going to be a shield versus shield battle. And we saw how that went in map 1. I just don't know if I'm too confident fighting the shields against an Unwanted team.
So here's the thing. We keep talking about shields and how powerful they are. But regardless, if you're on the defense, you have to deal with them. What are tools that are in either one of these spots, especially Razah Company, to deal with them?
Like I said, you can do a Legion. You can bait them into C4s. There are many things. Or you can double up on them and try to play around that. Single them out. Go for the player behind them. And again, singling them out. That is going to be the biggest factor here. And again, if you're just going to keep letting shields bully you, you aren't going to have a good time. And then when you switch onto that that attacking side, you're going to struggle again, just like they did on that defensive half.
Now, personally, if I was playing against a team like Unwanted, what I would do is, I understand that they're going for objective-based siege, so I would just try to stall them out. Don't get pressured by the shield, continuously fall back, and then utilize the C4 to be able to stop the defuse once they have no time. Because Unwanted is a very slow team. If you get Gavin, there's nobody else that's going to get those opening picks as fast.
Does it end here, or does it go to map 3? Gents, game's ready.
I mean, I definitely believe it's ending here.
I got to go with it, too. I think it's going to end here just for the sheer performance, and where I showed in my graphic that they have been losing steam, it's still showing now. So unless they can pick it back up in this next map, I have to go with Unwanted.
Boston, are you cheering for Razah? You cheering for Unwanted? That's all you need to hear, folks. Sending it up to our casters. Ace Des, take it away.
Well, the crowd is certainly going one way, Tim. You might be knowing,
backing on one.
I'm missing a bow tie here because it was choking me as hard as Razah are choking this series. It looks like it's going to be done. It feels like a 2-0. I'm sorry to the Brazilian fans, but I really struggle to see how they get anything done here on Lair. I know it's one of the maps they haven't banned away at all through this tournament. It is one of their favorites, but Unwanted are no slouches either. They are 2-0 on it, Tim. They've had great success, and they only ever bring it out when they know they can beat a team on it. I just feel like they've played them like a fiddle, but the game is ready, ladies and gents. Boston, are you ready for map 2? Let's get into Lair. Honestly, I'm having a little boogie every time I hear that. The walkout music was the one that really got me. I absolutely loved it.
The walkout music's really good.
It's class. Well, let's get into our bans. They are normal this time around because the blue team does not start on defense, so this is an unwanted ban. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Buck being targeted again here. Lots of soft flooring once more, but it's going to be the Maverick. Now, this is an interesting one because it was banned away against Razah Company Academy in their last series, and Unwanted have said, look, you struggled with it then, why wouldn't we try and do the same thing again now? It does leave that book open for live, so you will see that throughout this map. I'll probably wager on every attack coming out of the Razah Company Academy side. This one has to be a blitz ban,
gonna be
surely.
A shield, surely.
Or a Blackbeard.
The problem that they've got is whichever one they ban, blitz goes, Spirits will probably play Blackbeard. That's what we've seen previously from them on Lair. So as much as, yes, you can get rid of one of them, you better have a plan for the other if you're Razah.
Sure, take a look at our defenders. Last time around, we saw Razah Company Academy ban away the Mirror from Unwanted. Was back on our last map, but you take a look actually what was banned against Razah Company Academy in their last game. It was a 2-brow that was taken away. So I wouldn't be shocked to see that banned out by one of the two teams. And sure enough, it's Razah Company Academy themselves taking that 2-brow away.
Final ban will come in, locked immediately. It's going to be the Azami.
Shock.
I did just realise I could like kind of look down at, because we're kind of behind the players where we are. So I could probably see who they were choosing.
And just could feel really big brain.
I could feel really big brain if I
like, oh, they haven't started the ban yet, but I'm pretty sure they're hovering over the Azami.
I mean,
here.
I don't think it takes big brain to figure out that they're going to ban Azami, if I'm honest.
No.
About, what is it, about a 70% ban rate?
She's got the highest ban rate, I think, of any operator. I was looking at specific maps earlier, though, and there are certain maps where that varies, and she isn't the most banned away. But yes, she has been banned for 80 maps so far here at SI, 54.1% ban rate overall. The next closest to give you context, is Monty at 44% and Blackbeard at 34%. Massive jumps between each of those operators, and understandably, Azami can be a bit of a nuisance. We saw her played a lot up on Catwalk on the last map. Here, she's not going to be available, though. Starting on the defense, as mentioned, is Unwanted. Razah Company Academy attacking into their map pick. And I hope to God, Tim, they can do a good job of it.
Well, this is the difficulty for Razah Company now, isn't it? You're coming in on a side that you probably wouldn't choose to start, if we're honest. Unwanted have got an opportunity here, I would say. And it's rare that I say this, Des. Usually when I talk about important rounds, it tends to be in the second half of things. It tends to be around that round 7 to 9 mark. But I'm going to say that the first 3 rounds here are particularly important for Unwanted. If they can chain themselves together, some defences here, there comes into play a real mental game for Razah Company Academy then. If they're 2-0 down, 3-0 down, they're not just 3-0 down on Lair, they're 4 rounds away from leaving the Invitational. It starts to become 2 games at once.
I was going to ask if you're feeling okay then, Tim, because at the start of that whole sentence you said rare, and I was like, he hasn't said rare, he said rare. And then we get to saying Lair, and you go Lair. All starts to stack up with you sometimes. You really have me sold out for about 10 seconds that maybe you've changed your ways and come to see the light.
Never!
But no, sadly not. We did mention with that book not being banned away, you're probably going to see it every single attacking round. There is a lot of soft flooring. You'll see it played very similar to how you saw the Deimos being used before. He'll be looking to rip that floorboard up above his head and try and unsettle these defenders on the side of Unwanted. But to start things off, Tim, as always, getting this mask wall opened up is number 1. Live putting in pressure from below, so Dream can't trick it. Good bit of team play coming out from Razah.
I'd like to see Live open the floor up a little bit more above him, because Dream's moved back to kind of that desk area. He's actually been forced away, and it is because of Live's work. He's done exactly what I wanted to see. It was hot and cold previously on the clash that we so Unwanted, holding that desk position and just making it a nightmare for people to move through there. As it is, Live has recognised that. He's opened it up with the book, but the problem really now for Razah Company is that Unwanted have opened things up. They've taken down Perez. That's your Thatcher gone. They've got the breach that they need, but it's too easy. Gaveni gets himself out of the window, takes down Flashtree. That's Rotero's gone as well. And Razah immediately on the back foot.
It's a really good read. I mean, Perez, he's the reason why he died in the first place. He swung, didn't get his shot, and paid the price for it. But for Flashtree, I think once they realised there was a Flores on side, there's a very good chance on where he's going to be playing. And as I mentioned earlier, they knew they were coming to these maps today on Unwanted. They knew what was going to get picked up at some point in this series, that they've picked Labs, and Lair would either be the second map or it would be the decider. They've no doubt studied a lot of tape and seen where they like to play these positions. He knows that Flash on the Flores likes to sit out and play in that position. And that's what prep does for you, ladies and gents. It gets you free kills in big games. A 5v3. A lot of work here for Razah to do to even recover this round. And they barely set foot inside the building. There's 40 seconds left, and they're down 2 players.
Yeah, it's going to be the first step is you need to get some kills here. It's just get aggressive and find a couple. But Unwanted, they're a team that is absolutely laden with experience. They're going to give them absolutely nothing here because they know they don't need to. It's practically. I was going to say it's time to take your hands, off the mouse and keyboard, but Gaveni says, you know what? I'm going to stick around, make it 3. He's having a field day on the Legion.
God, I wish I could shoot like that. I spoke about Gaveni back on the last map. He isn't always going nuclear in the lights, but when you need him most, he steps up and goes big. One of those players that I think a few people this tournament have looked at and said, but massively underrated historically during his time on Dark Zero, and you're really seeing him flourish with this lineup.
I wish you could shoot like that as well, Des.
I do when I'm covering you on the plant, mate.
You could carry me and rank them.
Tim, don't give me an impossible task now. Come now.
Hey, I tell you what, there's lots of people who managed to carry me in ranked.
Yeah. An impossible task for me, Tim, and we'll leave it as that kind of statement. But yeah, big round. Again, it reminds me of back in round 1 of the previous map when we were saying, look, it was a 3K for SDK. There's not really much to talk about there. They've been absolutely bullied off. They simply haven't played the round properly. And for Razah Company, it sort of felt the same there. But as I mentioned, they'd had this read. They knew what was coming. It's a great shot from Atom as well. Good reaction. But that is definitely the sort of thing that you've seen them do before, and you've got an answer to it. And then Gaveni just goes absolutely crazy, hits a naughty 3K. The second little flick across, it's so beautiful.
That third kill was just, I know it wasn't like a huge flick or anything, it was kind of like, but that's why I like it so much. It shows how close his crosshair already was to just perfect head level placement. It just needed that slight adjustment, and that is one of the key differences that you see between the best players in the world and your average player in your server, is that ability to predict where is that level, at that distance, where is that head going to appear, so that it's just a tiny little movement to take them down. Absolutely beautiful stuff from Gaveni, a fantastic player, and showing it through and through at this tournament.
Then we'll breathe them in for Razah, hopefully, in this round as we change down to that first floor site. Still got to fight over the top floor at some point. For now, they're starting things off in the basement. And looking at that composite, we spoke about the Dokkaebi and the Deimos a lot. I won't harbour on about that point for too long. But we have got Vasetto stepping across onto the shield. He did run the Monty on that previous map. Not to great effect, admittedly, but maybe taking a few leaps out of the book of Unwanted here, Spirits in particular. Trying to do his best cosplay of the hero on the other side. We've spoken a lot about on the desk about the impact that Spirits has with the shield, how creative he is, how successful he makes his team by playing it. Even if he isn't the one netting all of the kills using a Blackbeard, he's still setting up players like Gaveni, as we saw, to pick up a couple of kills comfortably off the back of his presence.
A strong top floor presence here. We've got 4 out of 5 for Unwanted holding on to that upper level, and it looks like Razah are going to try and play into it. They're currently working their way through ops, looking for that top floor sweep in behind the Blackbeard. So the question here is, how can Unwanted deal with that shield?
Could have been a real siege timing moment there with the shield off his back to get rid of the drone, only for the Blackbeard to step around and take his head off, but no. Stays in one piece for now. Don't forget, Tim, we are not 10 eventing on this top floor. We're down on that first floor. They're getting really impeded here, just trying to get rid of the clash. Hot and Cold wasting a lot of time. They're throwing nades galore at him here. He's taking quite a bit of damage, pinning to the corner at the same time, but not being taken down. And he's got Gaveni. STK is also rounding off towards his left here. They're trying to box them in, Tim, but so far no one has gone down, and yet again, they're making use of these shields.
We're nearly 2 minutes into the round, and Hot and Cold once again is giving out a little bit of a clash masterclass here. Absolutely burning through second after second. Perez does manage to take down Gaveni. That's a big moment for Razah Company, but the question is, have they taken too long? They still haven't dealt with Hot and Cold.
Every single player's up on this top floor at this point for Unwanted. They smell blood, Tim, and they want it. They're down a player, but they're doubling down on the aggression because they can see the clock starting to become the 6th man. Down to the last 40 seconds. Now we see Razah Company dropping in. They've got control of at least one of those hatches and are able to start hitting the site, but they haven't yet got rid of this clash up on the top floor.
Just going to be seeking now. Atom on the flank, potentially. Has a little think about it. Won't make the challenge. Dream does find Vasetto, though. 4 versus 3, 4 versus 2, as all of a sudden, as much as it was going well for Unwanted, it starts to fall apart. The plant is going down. They won't have time. As Flastry manages to find the final kill. And I said, those first 3 rounds were going to be particularly crucial for Razah Company to do something. And do something they have. They get the second round, and that's 1-1.
Got a little bit stuck for a while. It took a long time before we saw the Deimos come sweeping in from Zulu to get the backstab onto this clash. What was really beautiful about it was Unwanted had this 3-person hold inside of our 6 room. You saw the clash facing off in towards Mask. You had the Gaveni of Legion stood right behind him as well, trying to play behind that, but you had Atom watching the display door. So there wasn't really too many opportunities for a backstab because the other 2 players from Unwanted were stuck up on Zulu, watching green stairs and stopping anything like that happening. But once they started to get this pressure in, once Gaveni was gone, that was really where the defense started to fall apart. If he doesn't die here to Perez, or he gets the kill in reverse, I think we're having a very different conversation about this round, but it's really well played by Razah Company Academy. They moved as a team, they applied pressure at the same time, and they managed to overwhelm Unwanted there in the last 10 seconds.
Heading into round 3 we go then, and Unwanted will continue their rotation, this time heading down to the basement. So we will likely see that from them in the second quarter, if you want to call it that. They will.
Hey, you're on my page now, Tim. I love it.
They will more likely go up to the top floor again. We'll see them on the mid floor and then down in the basement. Some teams do like to do that. They'll just have their organisation of sites and they work through them regardless. Some teams we see will kind of switch it up depending on whether they are winning or losing. Brava for Live. Important one to watch out for. Those clutch drones can be especially valuable. Going in, stealing that utility. We're looking at things like the Banshees. Going to be a big warning system. You've got bulletproof cameras. There's all sorts for Live to be focusing on clearing out.
I think Brava's a really underpicked operator. I'd say underpicked like she's never picked up. She has been picked quite a bit this tournament. But there's so many opportunities where we've seen things like Maestro being brought along, and teams just don't pick away, or re-pick away, should I say, it's like a re-pick away to playing this Brava. And teams look at it and go, you know, why do you put players like Shaiko on a Brava? Well, good gun, and once you've made use of the drones, and the same reason why you play a Flores and someone like Shaiko, is once you've used the drones, or the Ace, for example, you've got the gun free. You're free to go and be an entry, to go and play with guns up and try and cause some trouble around the map. And so I like the use of it here as well, to try and take some utility away from the other side. See Hot and Cole's still dug in up top as well, trying to cause a bit of bother. Live's got in and got the entry, and Timber Plant's going down here, and there's still 9 players alive.
Going to be an easy stop there for Unwanted as Spirits is on the rear side, manages to find Perez, so that will take the planter down, put the diffuser on the ground for the time being. Blastery low health as well. That is not ideal for the North American side as Gavini will hit his own, takes down Spirits, and there's a lot of missed shots coming out of Hot and Cold there, leaving us now 4 versus 2. Pasetto is going to confirm that plant this time around. That is going to be now all up to Gavini, working his way back against the clock. But Live, he finds the round, he finds the kill, and he fires up Razah Company Academy.
This is the team that I remember from stage 1 of Brazil last year, Tim, when we cast them a lot. We watched them on Lair, and me and you were like, wow, these guys are just so far ahead. It's beautiful stuff, but Tim, tap timeout's in, let's take a listen.
Well, we should be looking to make holes on that buck, because they're just trying to get Mitch off the wall so they can open the wall, right? Yeah. That's how they start every single time. They're gonna try to look to open mass wall and then lurk off that. Make sure we also have vision late round so we can smoke them, okay? On bunks, I think we should go to Chris Kyle. Mitch, just be careful lower, right? They're just trying to, because those mirrors are gonna kind of fucking pop. And we just need to make sure they're not just gonna just try to hit sight, and then probably just Onyx when we go lower again, because again, they're fucking doing nothing. Make them clear the map, make them try to fucking do something, right? All right, let's go. Let's crank them. Come on.
I honestly think we could run the OC back, but
touch my hand, Zach.
I'll just be in sight early.
Tim, touch my hand.
Touch my hand.
Touch my hand, Tim.
Touch my hand.
You heard enough about it there. They know that the pressure's coming on mass wall. We see it at the start on basically every top floor defense. It comes into that being the initial focus. But the buck, as we've mentioned, Tim, it was banned away on the last map. Live hasn't played it exclusively. Of course, we saw the Brava coming in round 2 where he really started to come to life, got himself 3 in the round. But you have got to fear what that buck can do.
Just see Live working his way through, getting that opener. Again, the entry is going to be an area to focus on here. Which team is able to find themselves that early advantage? You've just got Gavini and Spirits, maybe the comms not really quite up to scratch there in that moment. It's easy done, you're just kind of crossing each other's path there, but Gavini, I think, needs to be calling out there that he's coming in to support Spirits, so he knows not to be putting his head above the parapet like that and moving himself across into that line of fire. But these things happen. They will do occasionally. Unwanted, they managed to get the first, but Razah Company Academy have had answers.
We spoke about that entry quite a lot as well coming into the series. Both teams being below 50% on entry success rate. Furia, by comparison, 61%. They are terrifying at getting the entry kill, Tim. And until 2 rounds ago, Unwanted were up 7-4. They were cooking on the attack. And you heard like to speak a lot about this as well in terms of when they get the entry kill, their round conversion, best the tournament for it. They're absolutely unbelievable. For the last 2 rounds, they've lost that away. And guess who's won the round, Tim? It has been Razah Company Academy. They're warming into this. Unwanted have got to try and turn the screws a bit now as well. You come out this half down, 4-2. I do actually think maybe their map 3 is going to be a bound, and maybe Unwanted didn't quite have this figured out the way they thought they did.
Just keeping an eye on Perez on the sends. We've not seen too much of the sends in this matchup, but plenty over the tournament, over the course of Six Invitational 2025. And we know often that it is a real focal point for any execute. Where I see the sends on side here, I'm thinking you're going to be working towards clearing out some of the site, getting a little bit of space, getting that light wall up across the middle of the site and giving yourself the opportunity to put the diffuser down. We've seen it used on this top floor quite frequently in order to do that. I think we're just going to have a little bit of a rehost there, just a bit of a tech issue. So we'll get back in as soon as we can, but we've seen it used in a number of places. We've seen it used out on that B site to create the spacing behind the desk. We've also seen it used at Mask Wall. Yeah.
Round still going at the minute, apparently. So for now, we play on until the rehost gets pulled through, apparently. We'll see how this pans out over the next few seconds. But for now, as it stands, I wanted to just waiting to see where the push comes from.
Yeah, they will be just holding their positions for the time being. It'll give it a second to work it out. I think for the time being, Unwanted are going to be pretty happy to just hold the positions here.
Sure. We'll keep you guys updated as it bleeds on through as well. For now, at least, round is playing on until we get that fully resolved. I'll let you guys know what happens on that in a moment. As we mentioned, the mass wall was the one thing to focus on getting opened up early on. And you heard them speak about that during the timeout as well, so we knew that's where things were going to start.
Just going to start working from underneath now. He got live on the book once again. It's the same work that he did previously. Dream manages to shut him down. 4 versus 5 as the Nitro is primed and ready to go. Unwanted managed to get it. 5 versus 3. Big round from the North American side as Dream and Gavini managed to get one apiece. And it is all up to STK, realistically, to get this one done.
Yeah. We'll talk about this in a minute when we know exactly what's coming off the back of it, but for now, as you can see, pressure's come on through. We'll have a rehost in just a second and get this back underway after a short delay, so bear with us on that front. But the round, for now at least, is standing with Unwanted. Wouldn't be surprised if we see that one repealed away and we replay this round 4. But at least it stands for now. Unwanted up 2-2, Tim.
We will get the updates to you as soon as we have them. You can see their discussions are ongoing. I mean, it's always going to be difficult when it's your sends that you know, like I said, they're looking at either getting across from Mask Wall or they're looking at getting on that B-bomb chassis and creating that little bit of space inside a site in order for you to move into.
Now you guys know we hear more about the situation as it builds up. I've got to get Perez back into the server before we can carry on at least. More to come on that front in just a second. If you are curious at least how things stand for now, it's 2 apiece. We're also having a conversation about this and we'll let you guys know when we hear a little bit more. Definitely a weird situation.
Not one that we see every day.
Nope.
That much is fair to say. Like you say, primary thing is let's get Perez sorted so he's back in the server and everything's up and running as it should be.
Might have to be a PC change by the looks of it. Lots of
gear
being moved around.
Yeah, there's certainly lots going on at the minute. A hell of a day ahead of us as well, Des. You know, this is, let's not forget, just the first of 3 games that we've got today. We've got some big ones coming up over Game 2 and Game 3 as well. And that's before we even get into the weekend.
Oh,
we get to the real sharp end of things.
It's crazy because even that last game of today, like BDS versus Furia, feels like the sort of game you would see in a grand final, but they're playing today. That reminder as well, the loser of that game doesn't get knocked out. That is the upper bracket final. Loser of that drops down to the lower bracket, has to play tomorrow, and can still make their way into the grand final. The stat that I love that someone brought out yesterday was for the last 4 years, the eventual winner of SI has come from the lower bracket. So if BDS or Fury are superstitious, I'm not saying you need to throw that game later, Tim, but you need to be careful about what happens over the coming days if you do win it out. And I think part of it comes down to teams coming in hot, right? If you have tomorrow off and you're not playing Siege, or a couple of days like slow to it, whereas the other team's been playing the whole way through the weekend, they've got accustomed to the stage, they're used to the environment a little bit more. It does start to back you as you go.
Hot and cold, nice and relaxed at the minute. He's just
having a little doze.
Having a little lie back in that black light chair that he's on. The very nice SI version of the black light chair.
In case you missed it, by the way, we did have a trailer come out recently, a documentary come out called Eyes on Glory. Let's take a look at that now as a quick reminder while we get this sorted.
There are many great players who are not champions, who have never lifted the hammer, who might never lift the hammer. And it's not because they aren't good enough, they just might not put in what it requires to really get there. Because they are the goods and not the greats.
There is not 1 hour of the day where your mind can be off Siege. You have to sacrifice everything to win.
If you were to win any event and call it quits, it would probably be the Six Invitational.
chegar no topo uma vez. Então, assim, foi um momento de muita emoção.
The Invitational is, you know, the kind of the final checkpoint, the final test. It meant the world to me.
History will be made here because for the first time on home soil, a Brazilian team will win a world championship.
The only thing that matters is the 4 guys next to you, your coach, and the screen in front of you.
No one ever really just goes and wins. You have to go through the pain, the hardships.
Phase are exploding!
You have to go all in, that's it.
Quem perdeu foi nós tudo ali, e a gente que vai virar isso aqui agora.
Você tem que confiar muito no seu time.
Não vamos desistir, não vamos desistir.
Damir Sakiemi and brought it all the way back!
Fácil demais, porra!
When you truly want to become the best, you truly have to believe that you are, because you have to play it 100%.
I swear I just heard someone scream "mommy" at the end of that Aruni trailer, Tim.
Don't know what that could have meant, Des.
I thought it came from your direction.
That, what can I say?
So the good
Smile
news,
gets me
I'm
every
sure all of
time.
you are wondering what's going to happen here. They can have confirmation that we are going to replay that round. Just sorting out the technical issue now, I believe, with the monitor, which was the issue that came into Perez. Led to a computer crash. We'll get ourselves resorted. Once we're back in, it will carry on at 2-1. Which is the way it should be, which is all good news.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So we will get that one played through. It's just, I look down there, I see that everything's just being changed up, so it should only be a couple of minutes. I tell you what, there's a lot of Dream supporters in the house today. There is a lot of support for Dream.
It's him.
Love to see it.
He's
Love
him.
to see it.
You know what, we were sat there yesterday, so a little bit behind the scenes. Normally when we all get out here for an event and Ian Chambers arrives, we have a big event called Siegemas Eve. And Siegemas Eve is where we sit down and go through things with Ian, so he has... I was telling a story about Dream, to be fair, but he's stolen the show, Tim. And what a stage to do it on. Go on, Dream, give us a wave. Well, like I say, we do the Siegemas Eve where we go through, okay, what your walkout line's going to be like, what you got in mind. We go through it together, workshop it a little bit. And he was like, I feel like I've got to mention Dream. And he did word Dream into his intro line today, if you were paying attention. They were Unwanted, but it's turned into a Dream or something along those lines.
I think, you know, I've already spoken about this. I love the sort of the ethos of this team. Mint, the coach, of course, put a tweet out at the beginning of the event after their first game and said, you know, I think the wording was something similar to, we're just a bunch of jobless guys who enjoy playing this game and know that we've got something to offer. And I absolutely love that vibe from them. It's just, you know, mates who like playing the game and have fun together, and you can see it translating in the server.
I think it's pretty fair to say, Tim, there will be no shortage of suitors after this event for this roster. The top 6 finish for that org support is unbelievable, to say it again.
I tell you what, it might not just be top 6 yet.
There's some big names waiting before them, is all I'm nervous about for them. However, if they can play like they have for the majority of this series, then absolutely it's doable.
I'll tell you what, it would be a dream, wouldn't it? You know, them getting to the grand final and having that moment on stage. It'd be absolutely fantastic to see.
Oh, it will. Tim, you said you're enjoying Boston so far.
Loving Boston.
What have you been enjoying about Boston so far?
So I would go as far as to say, and this is no slight to any of the other US cities.
You're either getting a really big cheer here or a really big boo.
I know,
be
it
careful.
could go either way, couldn't it? This is no slight to any of the other US cities I've been fortunate enough to visit, but I genuinely think Boston has been my favourite US city that I've visited so far. There we go. No, it has. It's really, I found it really quite sort of peaceful and chill. Occasionally you'll get a bit of busy traffic and stuff. It's a city, of course you will. But generally speaking, it's pretty chill. Everybody's been really nice. I love the architecture. The food's been great. There's plenty to see as well. There's loads. There's a lot. If you like history and stuff, there's all sorts of stuff. It's been great. I really liked it.
I really want to try and find time before we go home on Monday evening to go and see Harvard as well.
Yeah.
It just feels like one of the things you have to do while you're here. But you can't do it while the games are on, of course. That's the most important part.
I mean, let's not forget where we are, Des. We're at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway Park. You know, one of the most iconic sports stadiums in the world. You know, this is right up there amongst them as some of the best venues we've ever worked at. You know, this is amazing.
We had that most ridiculous chance encounter yesterday as well. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
I'd gone to go and do some laundry and then had to get some lunch, and I came out there.
Or was it
I was just putting my headphones in. I was like, cool, I'll get walking now back to the hotel. And then someone in front of me, I thought it was a fan being like you, really aggressive, being like, oh, it's Des. And I was just like, what the hell is that?
The real Desertu is what I shouted.
Yeah, and I was just like, you gave me a heart attack.
Street.
Oh. And then I was like, where are you going? Fenway? Together? Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, we'll have a little walk.
I sort of stroll around the area, got to check out the venue here. Didn't get to see inside much, admittedly.
We did get to bump into a couple of fans, which was nice as well.
Yeah, we did, yeah. It's quite cool. You see people skirting around the city and we all look at each other just like, Siege. You're here for Siege. We know it. We all have a chat and a laugh together. It's great fun. Go on, Dream, give us a wave. He's not sure what to do with himself, bless him.
He just needs to, soak it up, enjoy it.
Big question is, and I want to ask the crowd this as well.
Huge cheers, honestly, every time.
When Dream's off screen, I'll ask, because I ain't going to get any screen time while he's talking. The big question I have got for you, Boston, because the cheers were quite hard to separate earlier. Are you here for SSG or Unwanted? So I want to hear a cheer on which team you're behind most. If you're for SSG, you go for them, or Unwanted, you go for them. Who's here for SSG? That wasn't as loud as I expected.
I think Unwanted might just take this.
Well, should we find out, Tim? Let's do it now.
I think we should.
Who's here for Unwanted? Magnitudes louder, Tim.
I think so.
Magnitudes louder.
The thing, it's just a great story.
It's the underdog story.
Everybody loves.
I will also give, there's probably a little bit of bias. They're an NA team. They're here. They're winning in the middle of the series now. They're on the stage. The next duo later can try this with the SSG Unwanted thing flipped when SSG is sat on the stage, and we'll find out then. That only feels like a true fair measure.
Yeah, things might change up a little bit when SSG is sat out here.
Once Ashen starts having his fun.
There'll be a lot of excitement. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to potentially, Des. You know, we've got some obviously fantastic teams left in the tournament. I would absolutely love at some point a really good, classic EU-NA matchup. It feels like a long time since I wouldn't actually hate it for the grand final. You know, like a real sort of throwback to Penta versus EG days kind of vibe. A real classic EU-NA matchup would be something.
Well, there's only one EU team here, so for that to happen,
BDS, come on.
You'd have to see BDS win later today against Furia.
We would.
And then you'd have to see Unwanted breeze their way past other Brazilian teams. Of course, they're partway through beating one of them now, but there's still two more left, plus SSG.
As always in Siege, the Brazilian teams will never make it easy for the rest of the world.
Nope. I was looking at all the stats the other day around things like entry, plant percentage, win rate, and Furia just dominate, not as a team, but also as individuals. They dominate every single stat line.
So Furia have been
really quiet, I feel,
really quiet.
Because they've done it so quickly.
I'd say since winning the last Invitational, that roster has obviously, switched from W7M to Furia. Regionally, within Brazil, they were kind of quiet. They were struggling to dominate, and then they've turned up at Invitational this time.
Love the Solus.
And quietly just gone about their business. And like you say, they're absolutely. You look at the numbers now, and Furia look phenomenal.
They're the team to beat, because every other team stands in the way of them and that massive storyline.
And I tell
being
you,
the first five-man roster to win it back-to-back.
What does it do if they win it again as well?
There's no music playing, but you know what? I'm all here for someone that can dance at the same time, Tim. I have to wait for the music to come on. That's when I start getting my feet moving. But we are in a music hall, so maybe you don't need music.
Still terribly.
Hey, no comments on my dancing, Tim. Come on now.
I've seen you dancing.
I haven't seen you dancing, I don't think.
Once is enough. I've got to keep it under wraps, Des.
Why? Out of embarrassment?
No, it's some serious moves. It's too powerful in many ways.
Have a word, man. Come on.
It's too powerful. Got to be careful with it. Keep it under lock and key.
And we're getting, by the looks of it, a full setup swap out by the looks of it here as well. See all the cables going back in and getting hooked up, so hopefully not too much longer now, guys. Appreciate the patience while we get our way work through this. In case you are just tuning in, 2-1 currently is what the score stands at Lair. Unwanted started out pretty strong, though Razah Company Academy have battled their way back in and are certainly not making it easy for them. I hope it carries on that way through the series, Tim. I think on paper I said at the very start, 2-0 is what I expected it to be. But if Razah Company Academy can fight their way back in, there we go. A man of the people, Tim. A man of the people.
Really is, and the people of Boston certainly supporting Dream and Unwanted through this one. Also worth mentioning, of course, if you joined us a little bit late, as Des has just explained the situation with Map 2, we've already seen Map 1. It was back on Nighthaven Labs, and it was, I would say, a convincing victory for Unwanted, 7-3.
It was, and so far, the tech is having a convincing victory, I'm afraid, Tim. I'm going to go to a quick break and get this properly sorted and swapped out. Back with you in just a few minutes.
Paris from the entry fragger of Razah company. Ooh, this one. Yeah, time's good. This was my first season on Black Dragons, like 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember exactly. This team I had live playing with me after like 2 or 3 years separate. We are together now and playing the SI, so it's cool. Oh, this one. Oh, this memory was a time that I was not expecting to be a pro player. I was thinking about other things. I was going to the university with 16 years, so my life was completely different. I was at the university and then COVID came and then I started to play more Siege and then I become like good. And then I got on the Tier 2 team. I won the championship that was the Brazilian Cup. I won against Black Dragons, I think Santos in the time. So when I won, I was the MVP of the tournament and then Black Dragons called me. From this picture, I know that I'm a new person. This person is a completely different version of me, so it's good to see this photo to remember that time.
We've got Phase 2 kickstarting. And this is where it all gets real for absolutely everybody.
Here it's all on those 5 boys in the server to get the job done.
He's still here, and Tim, they've let him go! How has he got away with this?
4 versus 1 against 2! And SSG continue in the upper brackets.
It's gonna come down to the wire! Does he get it? No!
Close this one out, but it is definitely possible for Forrest to do this, and he will! Forrest absolutely
Abused and destroyed by the shields. But League of Facts got him dead to rights. Revenge is best served hot. Razah against all odds.
And we continue on with day 2 of playoffs.
Gets the quad, and then back-to-back aces. Lorvin in a tough spot and taken down. Falcons get the win.
Hearts have been broken today.
It's now up to the Manchester Major champion, MVP himself, with no C4 to speak of and no hope in this world.
One more day before we send our teams to the live stage.
It is wait and it is bait. There's 1, there's 2. Furia confirm themselves as our first upper bracket finalists.
But SSG are fighting tooth and nail. Surely this won't be confirmed. Oh no! Ashen finds them both, trading himself back. Forrest is so low on HP as well, and SSG are on their last legs. Falcons have crumbled in the most critical round of them all. Awaiting them is SSG, but FaZe will be more than happy to give them some of their revenge.
The Gavin special. This is just straight up disrespectful as he dances on the corpse of OXG.
About ready to get back underway with things here as well. We have resolved technical issues, so the game should be getting back underway in just a second or two. See all our players line up in the lobby, Tim, which is always a good sign, and it means that Perez is back in and ready to roll.
Yeah, I think we just needed to switch a couple of bits out there and get...
A few times.
A couple of times, don't worry about that. Let's get ourselves back into it, like you say, any second now. To update anybody coming on in, we have already played the first map between these two, where Unwanted were able to take Nighthaven Labs. We then moved into Lair, where at the minute Razah Company Academy find themselves on the attack and 2-1 up.
Do indeed. So that 4th round is to confirm that you saw play out on your screens has been wiped. We are going back to how things were before we got into that round, so things will resume. I imagine we stick to the same site here, which was that 2nd floor coming out of Unwanted. Indeed it will be, but otherwise, Tim, it is a fresh wipe. We get new operators picked up as well. I don't believe we have to see Unwanted stick to the same lineup here. So Razah can also approach the round from fresh. Here we go, back underway with that top floor defense. Thank you for sticking with us, by the way. Oh, it's frustrating sometimes as well. You want to watch some good Siege, but damn tech and its tenderness to get in the way.
These things happen with esports, you know.
They do. And you'd rather have it on day 1.
Put a computer in the mix and you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. So we've already seen Unwanted hold on to this site. The push from Razah Company Academy was mainly focused around Mask's wall that you're seeing now. Dream was there. He was playing the Bandit last time was Dream. This time it's going to be the Mute. They've kind of recognised, look, Live did a really good job. He went underneath, he opened up the floor around desk, around Mask wall. He made it impossible for Dream to play inside of there. So this time, Unwanted have adapted. They've said, you know what, you can have that wall pretty much. Yeah, we'll put a Mute Jammer on there. We'll slow you down a little bit, but if you want it, you're probably going to get it.
Remarked on the attack timeout as well, and we heard the conversation coming in from Mint, whose players was very much around. We know they're going to focus on Masswell. We know they're going to use the book here. They have the expectation on exactly how it's going to be approached, so they should be able to adapt and respond. We'll see how things look up for now. Live once again on this book. It's been a bit of a terror coming in from below. It was banned away from him on the last map. Looking at this, Dream feels ready for him, but I can only imagine he's been spotted on a drone, Tim, and that could mean a bit of a headache incoming.
Looking to get aggressive and move on him, but Dream says, no thank you, not today. He's going to take down STK, and that is a big, big loss for Razah Company Academy, losing that Blackbeard, but Perez is there on the finger to take down Gavarni with a headshot, 4 versus 4. Legion, a big loss as well. Of course, those goo mines accumulating over time, so you've just lost a good few of those as well.
It's really interesting how they've chosen to completely forsake that Mask wall and just forget about it. We're going to start hitting in towards site. We're going to start causing bother and putting pressure onto Unwanted, and to be fair, Tim, it's largely working. There's no electrification onto that wall either. There might be a jammer on it, but of course Live can help out with that. Spirits was looking for his man, and Perez with that LMG just going to hold on a second. Already might step his way in towards that barbed wire and completely lose his life, but manages to hold on, juice himself back up with that Finker.
Spirits really does need to be finding that kill. Never easy on the SMG, but it was a little bit of a freebie. Of course, the Finker as well with that global boost, being able to put health into all of the operators on side would have been a big loss for Razah Company Academy. Mask wall is still not open. Bassetto has been around there, but has now moved away, I think. So, looks like they're just not really sure here, Razah, exactly where their push is going to be. They haven't dealt with the Mute Jammer, but they've had Live underneath on the book. It's kind of like you need to get moving at this point.
I think Live's still working his way around here, as you can see. I hope they've realized there's the 2 Mute Jammers stacked to either side of the wall as well. It's not so much down to being in the middle. I think now they managed to get rid of one. You can get starting suck on, but I think one side still blocked up, the left-hand side now screen here. But at least the one does get opened up, and they've got themselves in towards Mass. That's normally step 1, but they've left it until very late in the round.
That's it, 40 seconds left to go, and all Unwanted have done is they've sort of drawn themselves a line across sides, and they've just dug in. They're just going to hold those positions now, looking out towards Mask, because they know that's where the majority of pressure is going to have to come from. Atom manages to pick up Bassetto, and they're trying to get themselves on him from Ops Corridor here, but it's going to be tough, as Atom manages to find a second Live. Does take down the low HP Spirits, but 3v2 and time is ticking by.
There's that C4 from Hot and Cold that I thought we might see coming up from below. A little bit too easy there for Unwanted, who didn't really feel challenged at any point throughout. Sure, there was a little bit of a surprise backstab factor from the Zulu corridor, but outside of that, nothing really seemed to face them. Very comfortable round. And it says a lot when Live was downstairs on the book for the longest time. He has to then move up rocket stairs to come and join his teammate. Hot and Cold is immediately down green stairs, taking that below and using the verticals for his team's advantage. It's really good movement out of Unwanted in that round.
It was something that I think Foxy picked up on the break for us about the vertical use of this map from the NA teams. And it is so true. We see it there. We've seen it from Hot and Cold a number of times. I recalled that play against Team Liquid earlier as well. It was on this map with the Scorpos. They use the verticality fantastically well, not just in terms of, you know, having the peak holes opened up, but in terms of rotations, in terms of adaptations. Unwanted always seem to be thinking about a next step. Can we get back above? Can we get underneath? Can we have an impact anywhere other than laterally? And they have a lot of success with it. So 2-2, we find ourselves moving on, and Unwanted will continue defending, this time back to that mid floor. And they didn't manage to hold this one down last time. The top floor is the only side they've won so far.
One thing for me I'm really curious to see, and it won't be until the second half, is how Unwanted attack. I look back at our previous map of Labs. Very rarely do they make use of the vertical for their own devices on the attack of Labs, and even then found themselves getting bitten off a few times by Razah Company Academy, at least in the early few rounds. Did warm into things, of course, but they kept things very simple, very direct, didn't worry too much about making use of verticals. I'm keen to see if that changes here now that we're on a different map on Lair. To start things off, it's a challenge on towards Rocket from Atom, who's hoping someone comes swinging on through. Instead, it's Perez who's worked his way in towards Ops to his west. The team very largely dug in the same spots they were in the previous rounds and defending this top floor as if it were the downstairs.
On Cold's in that position that I've spoken about in front of Desk. We just see him on the right-hand side of our screen there. He's going to be challenging onto Mask Wall. And whilst he holds that position, Razah Company Academy are going to find it very difficult to move on in. He's held it with a clash previously. He's a little bit more exposed on the mirror this time, but if they can clear that position, if they can force him back, which they are doing now, that's going to be a big first step for Razah.
And then clear it from below if they need to. The problem is, Tim, with it being on the below, that's where the site is. You can't just walk in there and make use of it. So that mirror is going to require some gadgetry to be removed. It's going to be the Selmas coming out to start that one being forced back. But with this, Masetto has fallen too. They've lost a player. They've lost a lot of utility. And Tim, they're starting to lose time. We're halfway through the round.
SDK is just looking to get aggressive here as he hooks around the corner. He finds himself staring at one of those mirror windows. Gavani peeks around the corner, finds his kill, and that is a serious advantage to Unwanted now. 5 versus 3. Remember, of course, the site isn't up on the top floor. The site is underneath, and Razah Company Academy is still trying to work their way across through this utility. They've had no answer to these mirror windows. No Ash, no Carly, nobody that's going in there and doing anything about them, and they have really, really suffered to that utility. The diffuser's down cold as well. Razah Company Academy have got problems all over the map.
This is where I start to worry for them, Tim, as I feel Unwanted have done their homework. They know how they play this map in the same way they knew it back on Lair. And Unwanted in this round just do not have the tools, as you say, to get the job done. Selmas might work for one, it won't work for the rest. Dream nets himself for 2K, the hero of Boston. Going big when required. I say required, it wasn't really needed, to be fair, Tim. They're in a 5v1. Absolutely dominating Razah Company Academy since they sort of figured things out after round 1. Yes, they fell a little bit short for the next 2 rounds, but since then, they have forced all their way back in. And there's not a lot that Razah Company Academy have got to offer, I'm afraid.
As close as it feels in terms of the score, I've got to say that for me, in terms of performance, Unwanted feel comfortably on top at the minute. In both maps. I think if you look at the picture as a whole, the rounds that they're winning, we've seen them picking up flawless rounds like they have done just then. It's not uncommon so far in this matchup for Unwanted to do that, and you just feel like they have really started to stretch their legs now. If they can get a 4-2 defensive half here, I think they'll fancy themselves for closing this up in 2.
All too easy for Gavani as well. You mentioned really tactically outplayed in that round overall. Razah Company Academy have got to find a way back into this one, or it's going to slip away from them incredibly quickly. Last attacking round for them. They lose this one. They're down 4-2 to Unwanted's 4-2 half. We're already seeing him cooking some of the spirits across onto the cat cam. We've got the castle coming out in this round, Tim. Definitely going to try and confuse the side of Razah Company Academy here. Feel they've got them figured out and know exactly how to respond.
The basement will be their final location then, as they try to close themselves out with an advantage. To be fair, if Razah Company Academy can come away with a 3-3 half here, it's really not too bad. What I want to see them do, Des, is get some map control. It's been a big problem for them. We saw it in that last round. They spent the most time trying to fight over that top floor and never really came away with anything for the bodies that they lost. So, for me, get in there, get that top floor control, get that mid floor control, start bullying them on site.
More than that, though, Tim, is they're not really giving much on it because the utility game coming out of Unwanted has just kept them at bay time and time again. And now they've got to worry about the fact that there's 2 trap operators on side. You've got the Ella stacking up alongside the Capcan. You've got castles that you've got to try and chew through. Just a lot of problems they need to undo before they can even worry about getting into a gunfight against the North American side. Really trying to do their best, keeping live on his best operator of that buck. They've got the Dockerby on side again. But it's got to work a bit more magic for them. Chewing through at least a shield here as well on Gavani. Well, he's taken that as an invitation, Tim, to go aggressive. Spotted by a drone, so Razah Company Academy not going to be stung by it, but at least conscious that he's trying to get aggressive here. Gavani taking out the Ana decoy. Here we go, 2 or 3 players starting to surround him. He's got to be really careful here.
Yeah, it's Live and Perez that are trying to push in together here, and that's really smart. We just see there Gavani dropping away down the hatch. I've wasted over a minute. I'm not going to give my life for this. So he just gets himself out of trouble there, gets himself back to site, can live to fight another day. The problem is it does give over a little bit of that top floor to Live and Perez, and that buck can start doing a bit of work.
I don't think we've had a round yet where both Dockerby calls have been able to be used, as we've seen Dockerby die quite early in rounds so far throughout this series. I think for the first time here, SDK will have the option to use that second call. Really want to be saving this one for the execute itself. Get the verticals that you need, get players in position to hit the site and then pop it. But Tim, I remind you again, we've got those trap operators on side. We've still got Vulcan canisters deployed around the map. You've still got one in back pocket, for God's sake. Yep. There's a lot here that Unwanted can do to trip up Razah Company Academy.
Yeah, only a minute 10 for the Brazilian side to get things moving here. They're going to start with the breaching. Going to be the Habani of Bisetto that manages to start working on that wall a little bit. Perez does manage to get the entry, 5 versus 4, and what we've seen quite often, I was going to say from Razah Company Academy, is being able to double down on those entries, being able to get themselves an advantage, but Unwanted started the fight back. However, it will be ended.
There it is.
This one's up with an EDD, but it's 3v2. Atom in such a key position, and they know he's there.
Another flash coming out as well. Really good use of them so far. Forces him away momentarily, has to go aggressive here and brings down Live. The butt removed, but the trade is there. Flashtree circling round to his man. And Tim, who else would it need to be than Dream in a 1v2?
25 seconds left for Dream to hold on. He's going to be flashed out, which tells me they know exactly where he is. This is going to be tough. Does he see his man? No, he can't quite see it. The plant's going down. A beautiful first.
Company Academy's nightmare. Tim is up to 6-0 now. Putting his name up in lights on one of the best stages to do so. A 4-2 half for Unwanted, Tim. And now they move on to the attack. It's like they've won the whole thing.
Really. The thing is, every time Dream hits a 1vx, that's what it's going to be like. It's going to be like they've lifted that hammer right there and then. But they've got quite a few rounds, maps, teams yet to go through before they can allow themselves to Dream at that sort of level. But great stuff. Nice 1v2. Positions himself well. It's this one onto the hatch. Absolutely beautiful shot. And you just know it's prepared for him. He knows exactly where everybody is. Beautiful stuff. What you're seeing there is hundreds, thousands of hours of siege coming through and being put down in the server. Great stuff from Dream.
Difficult, really. I mean, Live, you're in a spot there where you've played this a million times. Up on the vertical, on the buck. So many angles you've got to help, but you hold the most obvious one, the hatch. It pays the price. On a different day, you get to freebie there, sure. It's paid the price there, like you say, for the experience that Dream has got packed into him for all the hours that he has played through. Here we go with the top floor defense coming out on this one. I'm looking immediately in towards Descent. Actually an operator that has really bubbled up in popularity. The ability now to raise and lower those light walls, no longer affected by the Warden. He's a very, very powerful operator when in the right hands. And in fact, I think SSG even drew a ban of this operator. They played it so often, it was their third most played attacker. So why not ban it away when you know teams are particularly proficient with it? We'll see what Hot and Cold can do here. Also doubled up with Spirits on the Ying. This feels like a nasty execute they're cooking up.
If you remember me saying at the beginning of this one as well, Des, I picked up on Razah Company Academy and I said Live and Perez have had great tournaments, but they just need that little bit of extra backup from STK, Flashtree and Bisetto. It's kind of been like a tale of two teams almost. And I look at the stats in this one at the halfway mark. We've got plenty of rounds played now. And you've got 3, STK, Flashtree, Bisetto, all 57 or below on EPS. It is not enough of a contribution for the team. They cannot rely on Live and Perez to carry them through at this stage of a tournament.
I said it earlier on about Unwanted back in that first map. To be fair, Tim, need everyone firing on the day. Unfortunately, there's only one player so far that is positive for the side of Razah Company Academy across the series, and that is Live. On the other side, everyone bare Hot and Cold, currently stands up in that position. Nate coming through, they see the shield as well. Will he take the beat? No, he will not. A C4 up over the top, there's no one quite stepping in towards Ops, it will find no one. But Razah Company Academy, Tim, putting up quite a bit of resistance here and not looking to give the map away for free.
Not exactly that.
They know, he's got to know someone's there. Look, does he catch someone here as well? This Candela comes on through, which it does. They still don't know if the shotgun was out, but he went for the second man and pays the price for it. Here we go. Making use of that light screen to get the cross up towards stairs and pushing up deep, but no! It expires. They see him at the top and they manage to get the down. A 1-for-1.
Dream does pick up Perez along the way though, and he goes for a second, can't quite find his man. STK will escape, but takes a lot of damage in doing so. We find ourselves 4 versus 4. Unwanted, they've got themselves a good little bit of map control now. They've got top rocket stairs, they've got themselves in bathroom, they've got themselves in ops. The next step is to start pushing forward and dealing with site itself. The big problem they've got is STK underneath, who still hasn't been dealt with.
There's also the problem where Bezetto's tucked in by Mask Wolf because they haven't opened to him. He can largely sit here. Here we go, and the challenge he did from Hot and Cold finds his man for free. And now that smoke has expired, they might be able to get a plant down. But look at that, 2 kills out of nowhere. Flashtry all by himself here, gets a wicked shot. Hot and Cold has gone deep, and he's now trying to push in towards it at the same time. But can he hold on? Brings down one more, but the trade is there from Adam. Unwanted take their first attack, Tim. They're up to 5-2, and just 2 rounds away from a second game tomorrow on this stage.
Unwanted feel like they've really taken it up a gear over the last couple of rounds, particularly. That one was really, really nice from them. They've recognized what the problems were, and they've dealt with it.
Trai de Clash, mas o principal, mano. Vou dar o exemplo desse round, tá ligado? A gente sabia que era essa play. Trai, se você vê que não tem nada tijolo com você, por exemplo, reforça a AK recuada, começa a ajudar lá pra você não ficar precisando se preocupar todo o tempo com o split do tijolo, tá ligado? Vamos comunicar o que também não tá rolando, guys, tá ligado? Pra gente somar a mira com quem tá sendo forçado, fechou? O jogo tá tranquilo ainda, mano. Vamos só voltar pra essa porra. A defesa tá fácil pra caralho. A gente sabe o que a gente precisa fazer pra ganhar, mano. E não desacredita, mano. Foda-se se eles fizerem o 6º ponto, tá ligado? Vamos até o final nessa porra, mano. Bora, Bota energia nesse caralho, mano. Vamos.
É essa. Fazer a marote de baixo?
Sim.
Also got Lax in for a call in, Tim. Let's see what he's got to say.
To slow down. They need to be playing aggressive and then keep falling back on those defenses and realize where the positioning that they are, that they then can rotate to. What we saw in that last round there, they were just picking people apart even though they were in power positions where they can rotate. So again, it's going to come down to Razah Company to realize the situation they're in, fall back, play off one another, play a trade game, and close it out. If they can't do that, Unwanted are going to keep steamrolling through, and then it's going to be over in the blink of an eye.
Thank you very much, Laxin, and very spot on. It's really interesting, Tim, because same as we saw back on Labs, it's the same thing here where there was no real vertical play coming out from Unwanted. They just took the real brute force approach of going direct in towards the enemy team. Lost a couple of players along the way, but for the most part, largely unbothered because they're making heavy use of utility to get the job done, not worrying about getting too fancy and bringing along the buff or a Damos to go below. Real focus tight areas of the map, and they get the job done.
Interesting from the perspective of the tactical timeout. Obviously, I don't understand everything that was being said there. I don't speak Portuguese. Many of our viewers do, of course, and will have understood what was going on. But just the tone of it, the general tone of it from our perspective, it's pretty laid back, actually, from Razah Company. There's not really a lot of panic in there. It was, you know, it seemed very much to the point from the coach. Very, very relaxed. This is, you know, kind of what we need to do, but as Laxin said, particularly playing as a team, playing off each other, using those positions that they've got, finding the trades, and just winning this by attrition is going to be a key for Razah Company.
Certainly not easy for them. Unwanted always know that off the back of a tactical timeout is the best time to do something a little bit different. And sure enough, they've got Gaveni here playing on that buck. So as much as I mentioned about the vertical play, this might be the round where you see it creep in. Of course, Spirit's back over onto that Blackbeard, as we've known and seen 1,000 times over. Also making use of the E1D, and no, Perez can't get the side swipe, can't stop the kills from raining in. Bezetto might get one, but there's an immediate trade.
The big problem that Razah Company have got now is confidence is up on the side of Unwanted. They're feeling themselves. They know they can get these kills, and get them they will. Diffuser down, Atom finds live, 4 versus 1. It's all up to Flashtry once again. He steps around the corner. He gets cut down by Spirits. And Unwanted, just like that, in that blink of an eye that Laxing spoke about, put themselves onto map and series point.
That's all it takes sometimes, Tim. Just break the back of the enemy team with a rush after attack timeout. They're expecting to make small changes to their own gameplay, be more defensive, play more as a unit. Best way to break that, just rush them. Don't give them time to get set up, and they pull it off to perfection. 6-2, a 4-round difference between these two teams. And frankly, Tim, it feels like a hill to climb. The Razah Company Academy simply haven't got the right trainers on for.
I've got a feeling that the roof might come off this place when Unwanted win. And there's going to be a lot of excitement. It's interesting in terms of the tournament as a whole as well. Of course, coming in today, we start out with 3 Brazilian teams, 2 North American teams, and 1 European team. So if we see Unwanted take the win here, which is looking more and more likely as each round passes by, that leaves us with a Brazilian team leaving. So we have 2 Brazilian teams, 2 North American teams, and 1 EU team left. And all things start feeling a little bit more even.
Sure. Let's see if this is the answer to their problems, Tim. We've got a lot of things to slow down the side of Unwanted here. Maybe somewhat fearful of a rush. but also know they'll be facing off against a shield of Spirits is giving the room to do so. In this round, that's exactly what he's going for. 2 sets of flank watches. Well, I think they've appreciated this now that we've seen a lot of flanking coming out from Razah Company Academy, whether it's on the verticals from below, whether it's retaking ground they've lost earlier in the round. A Gridlock and a Nomad is really going to help you out there. And for me, Tim, this comp just looks scared from Razah Company. They've got the Legion, they've got the C4s on side, they've got the Clash. All these things to try and keep Unwanted away for as long as they can. But I just fear they'll have to give up the map a bit too quickly.
Just going to be getting the drones out for the time being. See exactly what is coming in ahead of them. Flash Ray on the Clash is going to be one for them to deal with particularly. And we can see Spirits is looking to push in, but that Blackbeard will be slowed down more than likely. Should he come face to face with the Clash at the minute, just working from the opposite end of the map, which is probably not a bad idea for Unwanted. They've certainly slowed things down a little bit this round. Not quite as aggressive as that attack previously onto Basement.
No. And I don't blame them at all as well. Again, acknowledging, one, you've got a shield on side, you want to make use of both the Dockerby calls, 2. Why rush it for a second round in a row? I mean, you've got the chance to do so if you really want. You've got 4 rounds to work with, Tim. Razah Company Academy, as I said, really dug in with this comp as well. Do want to slow down the side of Unwanted. I just feel that there's going to be a lot of pressure starting to mount here. You know your backs are against the wall. You know a single mistake will cost you. The Flash Ray at least making as aggressive a use as you possibly can out of that Clash. The peak is at outside of the map and know what's going on. Attempted swings coming on through, but look at that Spirits bearing down on that doorway. You've got to contend with the shield, Tim. That is no easy feat, especially not against Spirits.
The thing is, it's not just about this round, it's about the next 3 as well. Yes, you know, you may well struggle your way through this one. Unwanted maybe don't break them down, but there's just going to be so much work coming for Razah Company to be able to close this one out. Dream will start looking to get aggressive, but it's STK to open things up. Razah Company looking good as Basetto gets onto the flank, takes 2 down. 5 versus 2 now, and surely at least a starting point for Razah Company Academy.
This is what they've been hoping to avoid, Tim. Let's not forget, with the Dockerby, with the Nomad, with the Gridlock, there are so many ways that you can deal with these cheeky little swings. You really shouldn't be getting blindsided by players like that, but Basetto has gone big in what feels like his first big round of the game, to be fair. Future's down inside the side, as you saw from our pip just a second ago, but not like it matters, Tim. This could be a flawless round, and what a response it would be from Razah Company Academy.
It's exactly what they need and not a minute too late. Realistically, Basetto manages to do just that. Takes down Spirits with that final headshot. That is going to be the round for Razah Company Academy for 1 more at least. The Brazilian team keep on fighting.
It was good to slow it down, but I largely feel like that was more back as we saw on Labs down to misplay from Unwanted. It feels like largely they've controlled how this game goes, how the tempo plays out, and not just on this map. It was the same story back on Labs. If you recall those first couple of rounds, they weren't really at the races, Tim. They weren't playing as a team. Once that changed, the map was just swept their way entirely. And it feels, given they've been on a 5-round win streak up towards this point, you're forgiven 1 round. As I mentioned, they've got 4 bites of the cherry to get this one right. They win this next round, and it's still 7-3, 7-3. It was that play from Basetto, fairly unchecked, where they paid the price. Closes it out with a 3K as well. Good stuff. Still 3 more rounds to go.
Yeah, it's a steep hill for Razah to be able to climb, and they're going to start all the way from the bottom, Des. Next round will be a defense of Basement. So they're going to be in that site again that last time Unwanted were able to get aggressive on, were able to run over them on. We'll see whether Unwanted brings similar tactics along or whether they'll go for the more stock standard take over mid-floor. They've got Gavani on the book, so it would suggest that they may be going to be looking to get in there on those verticals.
You'd hope so, for sure. Like, it's, I know, again, I've said quite a lot that Unwanted prefer going direct to site. They're not massive vertical players. But I think when you've seen Gavani on the book the couple of times we have, of course, that vertical play does weigh into things. Of course, keep an eye on Spirits once again. At Blackbeard, can't really ignore it, Tim. Neither us nor the enemy team, because we know just how much trouble it can cause in the hands of anyone. But again, in the hands of Spirits, you know Gavani's not too far behind, or there's a second player at the very least trying to capitalise off the pressure that it causes.
I like the twitch drone, taking a little jump there to open the electrical and spins round and sees.
It's not when you caught when you were a kid and you caught with your hands in the fridge getting snacks out, and your mum and your dad are just like, "What are you doing?"
Flashy taking out that utility. Gonna hear the Dockerby calls coming on through, and it's too easy for Atom. 1 kill of 5 that will see Unwanted continue in this tournament. 4 more to go.
You've still, of course, got the shield up on side. Can't ignore it. Blessing being the shields as the enemy side whittles down in terms of man count, you become even more oppressive. Less players to trade or find side swipes onto you as you're stepping into a room. So then keep this building up, this momentum here, still with over half the round to play. It's definitely not a bad spot to be in. That second phone call for the Doc will be about to come online for Dream as well, as long as it doesn't find itself going down too soon.
Pasetto just going to be taking the peek around the corner, sees the barrel of the gun approaching him, decides rather than taking the challenge, will dump out the Toxic Babe canister. Just gives him the 10 seconds he needs to scuttle away to safety on the stairs. Just going to hold that tight angle for now with the SMG. Needs to be careful though. It's going to be the Blackbeard that he's coming up against. Not going to be an easy fight to win with that gun. Just trying to chip away at a little bit of health maybe, certainly a little bit of time. As each Toxic Babe just wastes those valuable seconds.
That's the last one now as well. They can't really waste any more time. So there's 60 seconds still to play. Vertical in their favor. Hot and Cold trying to do what he can. And he's putting pressure on these two players. Perez and Pasetto have got to be really careful here. As more and more of this flooring is opened up above their heads. Still a C4 to play with in Flash Street's back pocket, mind you. They can still catch Unwanted off guard here, Tim. And now we come down to these last 40 seconds or so. That clock starts to become the 6th man for Razah. And this is where Unwanted start getting forced to make errors they don't want to make. They can't drone everything out. They can't afford to check every corner of every room extremely cautiously. They're going to have to go all in here.
They're certainly setting themselves up on multiple sides here, but you feel that Razah Company Academy might just be able to hold on. 15 seconds left to go, but no, Unwanted, they've got a little bit more to say about this. 4 versus 2, 10 seconds, but Perez manages to get home. Tries to put the diffuser down, goes for the kill instead. 4 seconds left to go. He's going to have to get this case down. He has no chance. But Adam, he takes the final kill, and Unwanted take one more step in this tournament.
They'll play against the winner of FaZe versus SSG to see who moves forward to face against the loser of BDS versus Furia, our game later today. I say largely unbothered in that series, Tim. Razah Company Academy have played their part in this tournament for sure, but on the day, Unwanted were on another level.
It's been very straightforward for the North American team, I think we need to say, and there's going to be, I'm sure, everybody left in this tournament looking at this side thinking they are not going to be an easy game if we have to play them.
Did the North American team win, Tim?
I think they might have done, Des.
I'd never guess by the chant. I really can't stress enough, Tim. That was a really solid performance by the boys overall.
It was
slow to start, but it's the start of a competition like this on a stage.
Yeah.
After you played in a hotel function room for the last week and a half as well, it is going to be a little bit of a settling in period.
If you remember coming in, I said it felt like the time where those miracle runs were going to start losing gas, we're going to start coming to an end. And for Razah Company, that's exactly what it was. It just felt like they've had a fantastic tournament with some great performances, but it just felt like a step too far for them, whereas Unwanted, they just look like they could take more and more steps on this journey to greatness.
Really can't ignore the Razah Company Academy again. Not tabled by anyone to be a top 6 team here, but that's exactly what they've achieved. Unwanted with that major win last year. You'd expect to see good performances out of them. Top 6, most definitely not. But they are about here. Now the crowd is chanting his name. Ian Chambers is down with Dream on the stage.
As Notorious B.I.G. once said, it was all a dream! Dream, I bet you're not feeling Unwanted right now.
Oh, not even a little. No, the crowd's been amazing. I can hear them a little bit through my headphones. These guys are fucking fantastic.
You had some absolute killer moments here in this series. How much are you enjoying your siege right now?
Oh, and I mean, I'm loving the team. We're working great off of each other. It's not just one of us that's playing good. It's all of us working together. And that's why we're so incredible on the server.
Just have a quick glance over your left shoulder here. How far can you go in this tournament?
I mean, I think we have what it takes to win it all, honestly.
I think this crowd might agree with you. Dream, congratulations. We'll see you very soon for the next matchup that you guys will be in. We are going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we've got all the post-match analysis on our wonderful desk. And then I've got a little Valentine's Day surprise for everybody in this arena and for you watching at home. See you soon.